Hello everybody and welcome to round 10 of the 2021 GP4 World ChampCar Offline Championship. We are here at the Korea International Circuit in Yeongam, South Korea for the third to last race of the season where both championships could get wrapped up. A little bit of a task for the Drivers' Championship, but the Teams' Championship, half and half I'd say. I'm JW97 and I'm joined today, just like last week and the week before, by Robert Ionescu.
Hello there, Joe. How are you doing? How is everybody doing in the chat? Hope you're having an amazing day, and let's get this show on the road here in Korea.
Yes, indeed. No rain expected for the entirety of this one-shot qualifying session, so hopefully we'll be in for a good race, and hopefully we don't have any issues with the TV graphics like we've had for the last couple of races here for World ChampCar. It looks like everything's back to normal, which is a relief for the graphics, and I think Yuri is secretly cheering with the muted mic. So anyway, as I'm sure he'll remove the timer in just a little bit because that's obviously not needed for this qualifying session. So of course, it's a one shot. Obviously, last time out, you have to rewind a couple of weeks ago. We were at Monza, of course, the Nürburgring. Sorry, that was the last European race for World Champ Car this season. Of course, the last three now being in Asia, and it saw Bartosz Kloss take his second win in a row, and it has put him right back in the championship. He's still over a victory behind Bruno de Barros, but he is slowly catching back up, and it's probably needed, given at this track, Bruno obviously has a slim chance to win the title.
Yeah, indeed. He has the advantage, of course, but it ain't over till it's over, so we'll have to see what happens. First car out on track, meanwhile,
Indeed,
is
so.
Jordan Howell.
Jordan Howell in the McLaren is first on track. For anybody wondering, you'll see the criteria that de Barros will need just before the race starts, because of course during this qualifying session anything can change due to the fact that pole position is actually worth a bonus point in this. But Jordan Howell is the first on the track here at the Korea International Circuit in Yeongam, and of course still yet to score a point this season along with two other drivers, which safe to say very disappointing really, given that car is capable of scoring points, Rob.
Yes.
Just a yes there from Robert Ionescu. As just coming around the bus stop chicane now, then goes Jordan Howell, passing the bit where it kind of misses the bus stop chicane. I think that's usually used for the other layout that it has around here at the circuit. But anyway, usually this track produces some very good races for the top class, so you'd imagine the same thing would apply for World Champ Car, but we'll wait and see, of course, as Howell is still preparing for his lap. It is quite a long lap here at the Korea International Circuit. He's still got the second sector to end first before he can get onto the final sector and then prepare to start his lap. But obviously, as mentioned, Team Penske come into this. They have a good chance of winning the team's title, of course. I think the gap is around 72 points between themselves and Andretti Autosport. In terms of that, I will, of course, update during the race to see how Penske are doing in terms of the team championship and see whether they are close to winning it or not. But we'll wait and see, of course. As Jordan Howell now then just comes out of the final turn and he's about to start his lap now then, as the next car on track will be Kim Sung-min in the Manor, as Howell just making his way through into the first corner, and he'll soon be starting his lap very soon, as Rob is just going to sort out a little echo issue at the moment. So for the moment, you'll just have me talking for the moment, as Rob's still just got a little bit of an issue he needs to sort out. But anyway, Howell just coming out of the right-handed hairpin. It's not quite a hairpin, as you can see on the mini-map on the top right of your screen there. It's more of a, I'd say it's more of a 98-degree corner, if I'm being totally honest. It's not really quite a hairpin, really. But anyway, through the bus stop chicane then goes Jordan Howell. It's a very long first sector, is Sector 1, as we've seen many times in the top class, as Howell just making his way through the left-hander now then, before he approaches the end of the first sector now then. Let's see what his Sector 1 time is going to look like. He's in the middle of this corner somewhere. There it is, a 51.512 in the first sector for the Arrow McLaren driver, as he just makes his way through the left and right-hander now. Then he will go, as he now uses a bit of curb on the outside before he makes his way towards this double left-hander. We have seen a couple of crashes in the past for the top class here, so it will be interesting to see how that one goes, as Howell now they're making his way through the right-hander, as he's done a 116.990 in the second sector there, as Howell now then just coming around the final few turns on the racetrack, and now through the left, and then into the final 3 corners will go Hal to set the benchmark of time for everybody to beat, as I think Rob may have sorted out his mic problems, because I did hear a little bit of a thing. Yes, Robbie's all good there, but Hal is about to
Flat
cross
out
the
in the
line.
last corner.
And it's a 142.392 for Hal. What that means, we don't know, of course, because he's obviously the first driver to do a lap. But next up is Kim Sung-min. But as I was saying earlier, Rob, because you only gave really a one-word answer, it's been quite of a disappointing year for Jordan Hal. Still yet to score points this season in a car you would expect to be getting challenging for points on a regular basis, especially when you look at his teammate Florian Volker.
Yeah, indeed. It's been very, very underwhelming. Sorry for the one-word answer earlier. I was just busy dealing with the issues, so I couldn't talk too much. But yeah, Howell, I think, is utterly disappointed. He's had that absolutely terrible season, no other word to put it. But he can still salvage things somewhat in the remaining 3 races. But enough of him. We have to talk about Kim Sung-min, who starts his lap right about now. In towards turn 1 we go. It's a short run. And you gotta be hard on the brakes, early on the throttle, quickly. Get up into 2, which is flat out, through the left, launches you onto this long, long straight. The prime overtaking opportunity, of course. I'm race day, and race day is also the same as qualifying day, so it is the prime overtaking opportunity come an hour's time. In towards the hard braking zone of 3. Once again, clipping the inside curb on the apex there, hitting it nicely. Taking a little bit of curb for good measure on exit is Kim Sung-min. In towards the hairpin and the chicane afterwards of 4, 5, and 6. Very, very tight apex there as he goes through 2 90-degree corridors. And the exit from this one is absolutely critical. You can lose a lot of time on exit, but Min hasn't really had such a terrible time. He is only 2.5 tenths down on Howell, and given the machinery he is in, it's not so bad. Now into the more technical section of Sector 2. Through the right-hander he goes, and on exit, taking some curb there. Up in towards 5th gear now. We'll go up into 6th, yes he will, and now downshifting all the way down to 1st gear. For the left-hander, I think he's lost a little bit of time here. Now through the right, in, there's only he's half second down on Howell, just under half second through this left-hander. And now just a few more corners before the flat-out left-hander at the end. Here goes Min, and now this is the last acceleration zone. As it's flat out from here to the checkered flag. Just keep the car on track. And Kim Sung-min will cross the line to complete his lap and go into 2nd place. 5 tenths down, just our 6 tenths down on Jordan Howell.
As Gabriel Gomez is now out on the track for Andretti. It looked like that Min there had a little bit of a twitch going through into the second last corner, so maybe losing a little bit of time, but still half a second off of Howell. Not too bad considering he's in a manner. Gabriel Gomez, of course, last time out in the Nürburgring. It's obviously a race he'll want to forget, of course, as he obviously retired from that race. And, well, it just seems like ever since his victory, Gomez has just had a little bit of bad luck in the last couple of races, and obviously looking to try and recover that here in Korea.
Yeah, that's true. With this lap, we expect him to go easily fastest, so he'll be the benchmarker for most of this session, if he gets it right, of course. So here we go.
Indeed, as he makes his way towards the first corner. Next up on the track will be the Peugeot of Toby Holloway, as we expect Gomez to hopefully, you would imagine with the car he's got, it's probably going to be the quickest time so far, but you never know, of course. He may even make a mistake during this lap, as obviously not ideal that he's having to start his lap earlier than he would have anticipated, as he would have preferred to go a little bit later when the track starts to rub it in. But that's obviously the punishment that you get if you retire or have a bad race. The worse you have, the earlier you'll get out for qualifying at the next race. As Gomez now then comes around the bust-up chicane now then, as he will now soon be approaching the end of the first sector. As mentioned a little bit earlier on, it is a very, very long first sector on this racetrack, and let's see what his first sector is going to look like compared to Jordan Howe as he comes up towards the end of it, and he's 8 tenths up in the first sector. It seems that the
Just
time...
as expected.
I was just going to say, it looks like the timing the lead seems a little bit off from where the sector is. A little bit like what it is in real life, to be honest with you. So I guess a little bit of realism in that regards. But anyway...
I thought in real life the sector split is on the second straight, the one after turn 3, isn't it? Or am I wrong?
I think it is, yes, but I was more referring to how late it is to calculate. But as you can see, Gomez definitely going very quickly now. It's 1.2 seconds up on Howell in the first sector, so it just shows that Howell's first lap maybe not the best, but then again, I know he's obviously in a McLaren, but you wouldn't expect him to be 1.2 seconds off of an Andretti, even if the Andretti is a lot quicker. But now Gomez rounding the second to last corner now then. Both of these corners are flat, and obviously this should be the quickest time, but let's see what it's going to be. It's a 1 minute 40.576, 1.8 seconds quicker than Jordan Howe. Question is, will anybody else beat it? We may have to wait a little bit later on for that to happen, as Toby Holloway in the Peugeot is next on track.
That lap is gonna be very difficult to beat for a lot of people, but this session is far from over, so we'll just have to wait and see until the big guns get brought out. But until then, we have Toby Holloway starting the lap.
Yes, indeed, as he'll be starting his lap very, very soon as he crosses the line to start his lap now then, as the next one on track will be TJ Papero in the Meyershank racing car, as Holloway makes his way through into the first corner. Of course, a common trait that we've seen in the top class, of course, is that there always seems to be a start crash in towards that first corner, mainly because of how it kind of bottles up going into that first corner, and I would not be surprised if we see something similar here in World Champ Car, Rob.
Yeah, indeed. And in real life, also to note that pit exit was very, very controversial for being considered unsafe. But in Grand Prix 4, Turn 1 is pretty hectic here. I've been involved in a collision myself, but that was on the exit of Turn 3. And I was leading the championship when that happened. But in this first sector, it's quite easy to drive, but when it comes to races, crashes can happen there so often, and I think we will have another start crash, but we'll just have to wait and see. Holloway, meanwhile, is 6 tenths down on Gomez, but that should comfortably put him into a provisional P2.
Should indeed, although we have to wait and see how he hooks up this second sector, which, given how long the first sector is relatively a short second sector, but he's now just making his way through into the double left-hander now. Then let's see what his second sector does look like compared to Gomez, and he is 9 tenths down. So, yep, he is quicker than Howe in that second sector, because, of course, Gomez was 1.2 seconds up on Howe when he went into that sector previously. So, anyway, Howe coming up towards the final few turns now down the track as he just makes his way through the left, and then flat out he will be for the final 2 turns on the racetrack around this long sweeping right-hander, which is surrounding a little, lake that's right next to it. Holloway across the line, and comfortably goes second, 1.2 seconds off of Gomez. So he slots into second.
He's really lost a lot in his free there.
As indeed, but he's still nearly 6 tenths quicker than Howell, of course, so he does comfortably get ahead of him there. Here is TJ Papero next out onto the racetrack in the Meyershank racing car. This team, of course, has struggled, it's safe to say, this season, and at times have at times been fighting with the Manners and even the Vipers, and who knows whether that will be the same case here at the Korea International Circuit.
It'll just remain to be seen, as Papiro begins his lap right about now. Like I said earlier, show around down to turn 1, so let's see if he can get his braking spot on.
Looks like he has done indeed. Yuri Gabriel in the Viper will be next to go out on track, as Papiro now then making his way on the straight now then, and let's see what his first sector is going to look like very, very soon. Well, it's going to be a while, of course, because it's actually at the right-hander after this bus stop chicane that TJ Papero is approaching. And it is a bus stop because I think with the alternate layout that's around here at Yeongam, hence why we have the support pit straight there, I think they actually miss out the chicane and just take a double right-hander as the first 2 corners, and they completely miss out this bus stop chicane that we normally see people who use the full layout of this track tend to use. So anyway, Papero now then approaching the end of the first sector, and he's 1.2 seconds down.
This is pretty terrible.
Yeah, and when you look at how far Min was in the first sector compared to where was I going now? To
Howell, you mean?
Oh yeah, it wasn't that far, but then again, of course, Howell is a bit far from Gomez, so we'll wait and see.
If I'm not mistaken, Gomez was 1.2 in front of Howell after the first sector, so we'll check the middle sector split now, and Papiro is 2 seconds down.
So I think he's going to be behind Min, if I'm being totally honest, because Howell was 1.2 seconds off of Gomez in the second sector, and when you look at the gap between Howell and Min, it's only just under 6 tenths. So I think Papero is probably going to be the slowest here at the moment, if I'm being honest, Rob.
I have to agree with you there, Joe, so it seems. But let's see for sure as he crosses the line, and he's going to go last place.
3 seconds off the pace. That is a pretty poor lap from TJ Papero. Be interested to see how quick his teammate goes around there later on. Here is Yuri Gabriel, meanwhile, the first of the Vipers to make their way out on the racetrack, of course. A man who has been very, very unlucky this season. Definitely a man who has definitely struggled to see the checkered flag many times this season.
Yeah, of course, it is his first season in the OC universe, and still trying to get the grips of things, of course.
Alex Eric Lucien will be next out on the track in the second Peugeot. Obviously, his teammate Holloway went out a little bit earlier on, so it'll be interesting to see where Lucien ends up a little bit later on. As Gabriel now then storms through this back straight, which I think is slightly longer, in fact, than the Yas Marina back straight as well. He has a lockup going through into the hairpin there, so that lap won't do him any good, and that first sector already in the bin.
Yep, never mind that he has a bad car. Making a mistake like this completely wastes your lap entirely, and who knows, you might go even slower than Bapira in that first sector. But we'll keep an eye on him as he goes through the left-hander, early on traction, and he didn't take any curb on exit, so he didn't think about using all the track, or maybe didn't have the downforce and the grip. 1.8 seconds down. How much of that was due to the lockup, I'm not quite sure, but Yuri Gabriel is currently struggling and is projected to go even slower than Bapero.
Yeah, indeed. It seems that we're getting some spaced out gaps here around here at Yeongam. Of course, it is quite a relatively long track, so obviously the longer the track is, the more you expect the gaps to be a little bit bigger. But let's see what Gabriel's second sector looks like. 2.5 seconds down. So, yeah, I think he's probably going to be slotted in last position here, Rob.
I think also that'll be where he's gonna stay. I find it hard to believe there will be many people who can go slower than this.
Yeah, indeed, as Gabriel makes his way through into the second to last corner, making his way towards the final turn and onto the pit straight now, then will come the Brazilian, and he does slot in last for the moment. 3 tenths off of Papero. So we're getting 2 drivers who are over 3 seconds off the pace. As now we look at Alex Eric Lucien in the second of the Peugeots, and be interested to see where he ends up, given his teammate is currently second, but 1.2 seconds off of Gomez. Nobody's been able to get under a second behind Gomez at the moment.
It's hardly a surprise, but for Eric Lucien, the target is most obvious: beat his teammate. And let's see if he can do just that as he's about to begin his lap.
Now coming down the straight he comes is the Frenchman, and he starts his lap now. Next up on the track will be Francesca La Rosa in the second manner. Obviously his teammate Min went out a little bit earlier on, but Lucien just going out of turn 2 now then in the Peugeot before making his way down the back straight now then, and before getting onto the support pit straight in just a little bit, as now he makes his way down towards hairpin. Of course, we saw earlier on that Gabriel locked up into this corner. Lucien has no such issue, so he's able to take that corner a lot more tidier than what Gabriel was able to do a little bit earlier on. As Lucien now then making his way down the support pit straight and now towards the chicane now then he will go. Through the left-hander goes the Peugeot driver before making his way towards the right and using a lot of curb there, as he will now opt to go through the medium speed left-hander, and he takes a tiny bit of curb then, of course doesn't use the curb on the exit there. Let's see what Lucien's first sector looks like compared to Gomez, and he's 4 tenths down in the first sector, so I'm trying to remember.
That's not half bad.
Not half bad at all. I'm just trying to figure out how far away Holloway was during his lap. I guess we'll get.
I remember Holloway was 6 tenths down after S2 and then lost a further 6 tenths in the third sector. So we'll have to keep an eye on what Lucien can manage, as he's about to hit the second sector split.
Yep, as he now makes his way through the right-hander now. Then he's 7 tenths down in the middle sector, so he could slot just in front of Holloway. But whether he'll be under a second behind Gomez or just over, we'll have to wait and see.
Here we go for this very tight and twisty section. Through the left-hander and now flat out. Step on that gas, and here we go with Lucien. Can he do better than Holloway in the third sector and get in front of him, or will he slot third fastest as he crosses the line? He goes second. He's done better than Holloway in the last sector.
He's still over a second behind Gomez, so still nobody's been able to get under a second behind him at this stage. Here's Francesco La Rosa now then in the second manner. Obviously, as mentioned, his teammate went out earlier on, and he's currently 2.4 seconds off in 5th position, as La Rosa now then making his way in towards the final 4 turns to prepare for his flying lap now then in this one-shot qualifying format. For anybody new to World Champ Car, of course, we use the one-shot qualifying format in this series, so they only really get one shot to get it right. Otherwise, if they make a mistake, that's their lap done with. As next up on the track will be Bartosz Bracki in the second Viper, who'll be out very soon, as La Rosa just making his way through the first two turns in the FedEx liveried manner. And now heading down the back straight, he will now come, the Italian, as he will now make his way towards the hairpin. Well, I say it's a hairpin, but I said earlier on it's not really a hairpin. The right-handed turn just at the exit of this back straight. No such lockups for La Rosa, unlike what Gabriel did a little bit earlier on, as he makes his way down at this back straight before approaching the bus stop chicane. As La Rosa, of course, the guy who obviously got Mana their only points finish so far this season. Same goes with Bartosz Bracki for Viper, of course. Their teammates have not been able to score a point this season along with Jordan House. I'll be interested to see whether all 22 drivers in these last 3 races are able to do that, as La Rosa finds himself 1.2 seconds down in the first sector, nearly 1.3 to be exact. So I think I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head just how far behind Gabriel was. I think La Rosa will be comfortably ahead, but I'm just not sure at the moment where he'll place his Mana at the moment.
I think Gabriel was a little bit further down, but we'll have to wait and see in a few seconds' time in the middle sector split.
As La Rosa makes his way towards the end of the second sector, 2 seconds down, 2.050 to be exact. So I think he will not be last. I think that's we can establish that. Whether he can
I think he could even get himself in front of Bapiro as well. We'll have to see.
Whether he can get in front of his teammate Min, though, that's going to be another question. As La Rosa now, they're making his way through the final 2 turns, making his way now then onto the pit straight, and La Rosa is going to cross the line, and he goes into 6th position, so he actually slots behind his teammate, and only just under a 10th in front of Apiro, as we now look at Bartosz Bracki now in the second of the 2 Vipers.
Yep, he's out on track, of course, and he scored points, like you said earlier, but I forgot which race he actually scored points in, to be completely honest with you.
It was one of the early races, and I think it was actually because Viper scored points before Mana, so I think it was round 2 he got those points. It was actually at...
Was it at Austin?
It was at Austin. It was actually a pretty good race for Bracki.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
Yes,
well, let's see what he can do this time around.
Because I remember that Viper were the ones that scored the point before Mana did in their little fight to stay out and last in the championship. I think Mana got theirs in at Laguna Seca, if I'm not mistaken, during that chaotic race. But anyway, Bracki starts his lap as Thomas Cassidy in the second of the Meyershank racing cars will be next up on track. So obviously his teammate Papero 3 seconds off the pace, and I said earlier on, be curious to see what sort of pace Cassidy is doing in the other Meyershank racing car. Whether Papero is suffering a similar case to what we saw in the Nürburgring, where he just couldn't set the car up properly or not. It would be fascinating to see where Cassidy ends up after his lap. But Bracki making his way down towards the right-hander now then, and using a bit of curb on the outside as he now thunders down this support pit straight before he heads towards the bus stop chicane.
Yep, and his target, of course, well, it's quite simple. Don't be at the back.
Pretty simple. I think that's pretty much the case for the Vipers, Manas, and to some degree in some races the Meyershanks as well. That seems to be their aim all the time. But anyway, Bracki 1.1 seconds down in the first sector. I can tell you that is quicker than what La Rosa did in the first sector, because I remember he was 1.2 seconds down. So at the moment he is running quicker than La Rosa, but I think slower than Min at this stage.
Yeah, it's no guarantee that he'll stay in front of La Rosa. He still needs to ace sectors 2 and 3, and sector 2 is rather short thanks to the placement of the S1 split. So here we go at the end of S2. Bracki is 1.8 seconds down. He's definitely up on La Rosa still, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I'm not so sure if he can get in front of Kim Sung-min, but I think it can be rather close, so we'll have to wait and see what the Viper driver is going to do. As he goes through the left-hander, and now through the flat-out right, and into the flat-out left. That is the lap, and all he has to do is cross the line. What time is he going to set? Where is he going to go? He's going to go 6th, just behind Kim Sung-min.
Only just slotting him behind, but as expected, he does beat Francesco La Rosa. Here is Thomas Cassidy now in the second of the Meyershanks, and as mentioned, his teammate down in 8th position, 3 seconds off the pace. Be fascinating to see if Cassidy has similar issues with his lap coming up, or whether it's another case of Papero just struggling to set up the car.
Should be interesting to see, because Papiro's lap was pretty terrible, but Thomas Cassidy might be able to prove that this car has more pace than that, so Should be fascinating to see what happens here. Obviously, I don't expect him to get within 1 second of Gomez. I think we're gonna have to wait a while for that to happen. But Cassidy, I think he could do something interesting here. So let's see what happens.
Rounds the second to last corner now, then through the final turn, and now onto the pit straight he goes to start his flying lap here. As next up on track will be Florian Volker in the second of the two McLarens. As through into the first corner goes Thomas Cassidy, the Venezuelan, now flat through turn 2. And of course, we do see some crashes at the exit of turn 2 as well sometimes, depending on how dodgy the AI are when it comes to being on the outside, as we saw this season in the top class with Franco Lopez, which caused a bit of a chain reaction at the exit of turn 2. As Cassidy now then making his way onto the support pit straight now then, before he makes his way towards the bus stop chicane now then, as he makes his way towards the left and right hander very soon. So through the left he goes, and then into the right now then will go Cassidy as he flicks the car in for that right hander, and then into the left he will go now then. Let's see what his second sector is now going to look like as compared to Gomez. Through into the first sector he goes, and he's 1.3 seconds off. Not really sure what that is in comparison to Papero, but I think if I was to guess, it probably is quicker than Papero because of how far away Papero is to La Rosa, who was 1.2 seconds off in that first sector. But we will see. But I think Cassidy is definitely running slower than La Rosa at the moment, but not by much. As in fact, having said that, it is pretty close between La Rosa and Papero. So yeah, I don't know. As we go through the first sector, 2 seconds
2
off.
seconds down. I think he's matching the pace of what Loris was able to replicate. So let's see if he can replicate that. I mean, sorry, I'm jumbling on my words a little bit. Yeah, I'm not feeling at 100%. But nevertheless, Cassidy is about to finish this lap. And let's see if he can get himself in front of Francesco Rosa or not. I think he's going to be rather close. Let's see. He gets in front only just by half a tenth.
P7 for Cassidy, and he's 2 tenths quicker than Papero. Here is Florian Volker. Did he just have a little bit of a lock-up there just before his lap on lap, or was that my eyes just deceiving me there? Not sure. But anyway, Volker on track now then. Of course, the only McLaren driver this season to score points. You could argue that McLaren could be a little bit higher in the Team's Championship if it wasn't just Volker scoring the points, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely true. And Volker, he's done right this season. So let's see if he can score some more points in the remaining races. Of course, he is in contention for some top class seats, so he wants to return, and to return, he'll need to make sure he can produce the form we know so well he can do. He can have, I mean, sorry. So yeah, Volker onto the long straight, and let's see what his turn 3 will be like. Hard on the brakes we go. Taking a lot of curb in on entry. Like pretty much an esports line, I guess you could say. A little bit of a twitch on the steering on the straight, but it didn't cost him any time really. As in towards hairpin he goes, and then in towards this chicane that we got right here. Taking some curb on entry there, turning in early, and then very, very aggressive through the mid corner of the left-hander there. As Volker is 6 tenths down, just about.
Yep, slightly slower than both of the Peugeots going from the first sector, but still relatively okay pace. You mentioned about Sim Racing line there. Well, at least it's not the Ross Chastain line from yesterday, if anybody gets the reference.
Yeah, but given the walls we've got here, I don't think that's something you can do. It would be funny to see them try, though.
Yeah, I mean, we do have walls close to the track, but none to the extent where you can basically wall ride. And I mean, with open wheelers, I think that's basically impossible to do because these are a little bit more sensitive with their suspension because they're not basically covered up by bodywork. But anyway, going a little bit off topic there, back on topic we go then. There's Florian Volker now, they're making his way through the second to last corner now then, as he makes his way down the pit straight now then, and across the line he will go, and he goes into fourth position. So as expected, he does slot behind both of the Peugeot drivers. It seems the Peugeots have got the edge on the McLarens so far during this qualifying session.
Yep, and that's not going to change. Volker will start behind them, and he is in front of teammate Jordan Howell by a few tenths there.
Indeed, as for some reason we're not flicking to the next driver yet. So as now we do, it's Simon Muke who is obviously next on track in the Carlin, as he's just about to prepare to start his lap very, very soon, as he now makes his way towards the final 2 turns to start his lap very, very soon now then, as Muke is about to start lap now then, as of course he just missed out on points last time out at the Nürburgring. Unlike his teammate who'll be next out on track, he did score points, so Colin were able to get a further point last time out at the Nürburgring. As mentioned, his teammate Frederick Soper will be next out onto the racetrack. But I think I've mentioned it a couple of times, it has been quite a decent season for Colin this season.
Yep, that's right. And I don't think they can be. I don't think they have any reason to be disappointed. They've done well, and yeah, let's see if they can use this momentum and build into future seasons and maybe become a force for the championship in the not so distant future.
Indeed, as he makes his way through the bus stop chicane now, then through into the left-hander goes the Polish driver now then, as he now makes his way up towards the end of the first sector very soon now then. Through the right-hander he goes, and he finds himself 8/10 down in the first sector, so down on both the McLarens and the Peugeots, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, that first sector wasn't exactly the greatest, but he might be able to compete with Jordan Howell. Nevertheless, I don't see him going slower than Kim Sung-min by any long stretch of the imagination, but we'll have to wait and see, of course, as through the middle sector split goes Simon Mutka, and 1.2 seconds down. I think it could be rather close between himself and Howell, though I think Howell might have an edge. We'll just have to wait and see, of course, for these last few remaining corners. As through go, through the left, nice and early on the throttle there, and Simon Mutka just needs to bring it home now across the line to complete his lap. Of course, the first one in the second half of the pack, he goes fifth fastest, just in front of Howell. So I was right, it was going to be close, but he can't go in front of him after all. He's gone faster than him. Now out on track is his teammate Friedrich Zoppa.
Yep, and it'll be interesting to see where he slots at the moment, as Mutka was slower than both the Peugeots and, well, I say both the McLarens, but I've just realised he's actually split the two McLarens. So he's slower than one McLaren, but quicker than the other McLaren. Be interested to see where Soper ends up in that little gaggle there. But anyway, Soper now then makes his way through the final two turns on the racetrack now, then through the right and then through into the left-hander. He goes now then, and he now starts his flying lap. There'll be 9 cars left after it, and the next up on track will be Joe Pedro Kirby in the Chip Ganassi racing car. Of course, I mentioned last week that obviously with the announcement about Chip Ganassi switching to Mercedes Power in 2022, he did have a few concerns about whether or not Chip Ganassi will fall back a little bit in the pecking order, given what Manor and Viper have been able to do with that Mercedes engine in the back. But you never know, of course, it could be a completely different story when Chip Ganassi switches to them for next season. But anyway, back onto Soper now, then he's just making his way towards where the bus stop chicane is now, then just making his way towards the left-hander now, then he goes, through the left he goes, and then into the right-hander now, then we go, using a lot of curb on the inside before making his way towards the left-hander, as he now makes his way up towards the end of the first sector very, very soon now then. And let's see what Soper's first sector is going to look like, and he's 8/10 down in the first sector now then, so 8/10 he goes, as he's roughly around the same sort of pace as what Mutka set in the first sector, maybe just a tad bit slower, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be touch and go, I think. Could be very, very close between the two current teammates and compatriots.
Indeed so. Soper now then making his way through the right-hander at the end of the second sector, 1.3 seconds down. So, yep, I think if I'm not mistaken, Mutka was 1.2 seconds down in that middle sector. So I do think that Soper is lapping a little bit slower than what Mutka is.
I think he could even go behind Howell at this rate. It'll be very close, of course, so let's just keep our eyes peeled and let's see what happens here as Friedrich Schoppa is going to finish his lap. Where is he going to go? He goes 7th, just about 2/10 slower than Howell. So he lost even more time in the last sector. As Shapiro Kirby is now out on track.
Yep, the Chip Ganassi driver out on the racetrack he goes, and Chip Ganassi had a relatively strong race at the Nürburgring last time out. Both drivers managing to score points, although it still hasn't really got rid of the fact that it hasn't been the best of seasons for Chip Ganassi. They've been kind of mid, it's fair to say, this season the team has, and obviously a bit of a question mark on how they perform, as mentioned earlier, with Mercedes Power in 2022. As Kirby crosses the line to start his lap, Nicholas Zorbach in the BMW Pyramid will be next next out on track, a man who also wants to forget about what happened at the Nürburgring. Obviously showed some good qualifying pace, but in the race he just seemed to drop back, and it just seemed like he just wasn't on the pace when it came to the race, really. So obviously he'll want to forget about that one at his home race. But Kirby now, they're making his way down towards the right-hander now then, as the Brazilian gets it all slowed down and through into the right-hander. He will go as he uses a tad bit of curb on the outside there. Of course, if we're going back 9 seasons ago, that was obviously where a controversial incident happened back in 2012, and it actually had the commentary from Rick Yan and Roland Mottrin back then as well. Old fact,
Wasn't
a lot of people
it?
don't realize.
You mean myself and Derek? Because I don't think Roland was commentating.
Sounded like Roland to me. According to the description, it said Roland Mottrin, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, it's Kirby.
No, because I remember recording that race with Rick. So
I know that.
And nevertheless, I remember. Yeah, the incident was pretty funny. It was between the Ferrari and the McLaren. I think Vico Holsto and who was the Ferrari back then? Was it you or somebody else?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't McLaren. It was actually a Red Bull. It was Volker and Joseph Willows when that collision happened.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, I remember now. Willows and Volker, that collision at turn 3. As Corby is 1.4 seconds down from the middle sector. I did not expect this. Honestly, looks like he could be headed to a P8.
Yep, as he now makes his way through into the last 2 turns. Let's see if you're right on that one, Rob. Making his way down the pit straight. We'll go Joe Pedro Kirby across the line, and it is P8. You are correct on that one. 2.1 seconds off of Gomez, and he slots in just behind Frederic Soper.
Next up is somebody who might finally be able to get within 1 second of Gabriel Gomez, or even go faster than him. That would be Nicholas Zorbach, of course, who has been quite good in qualifying, but not always had that same kind of pace in race trim.
Indeed so, and he's obviously had a victory this season, let's not forget, in controversial fashion, you could say, at Long Beach when it came to a back marker, and since then I think the rules have changed in terms of collisions with back markers. But anyway, it's Zorbach now then making his way through into the final few turns on the racetrack, as Zorbach now then coming around the second to last corner, and then through the final turn he goes. It'll be interesting to see what his pace is like compared to the Andretti of Gabriel Gomez. Zorbach now then starting his flying lap now. Then there's the next car on track will be Sam Thompson in the Ferrari, as Zorbach now then making his way through into the first 2 turns on the racetrack, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes on this lap.
Absolutely right, and yep. What can I say? Down the back straight we go with Nicholas Zorbach, and what is braking like? Once again taking the sim racing line, but he looked very confident there on the brakes. I have noticed Corby looked a little tentative on the brakes turn 3 on the last lap, but Zorbach has no such issues, and this could be a very competitive sector 1. Let's see him now through the right-hander of, what is this, 5, and then into 6. Very confident there. Took a lot of curb on entry. Hit the apex quite nicely. And can he go fastest in the first sector? No, he's 7 tenths down.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's actually slower than the 2 Peugeots, because I think they were about 4 tenths off of Gomez in the first sector. So it doesn't look like
you're right.
It doesn't look to be a very good lap for Nicholas Zorbach, surprisingly.
Yeah, I can't really believe it myself, but it looks like he's struggling a little bit for grip. Let's see his middle sector time, and it is 1 second down exactly. So at this rate, I think he's gonna be scrapping with Volker. Let's see where he will end up. Of course, he just needs to ace this last sector, but I don't see him getting onto the front row.
Zorbach now, they're making his way through into the flat-out right-hander now, then through into the left. Let's see where he can place his BMW pyramid. Zorbach across the line, and he goes into 4th position, 1.5 seconds off of Gabriel Gomez, only just slotting in front of his fellow compatriot, Florian Volker there, as now we have Sam Thompson preparing to start his lap next.
Yeah, just the 200th margin, very close between the 2 Germans there. Now Thompson in the Ferrari, let's see if he can do any better than that.
Indeed, as Thompson now they're making his way through into the final few turns very soon for the right, and then into the final four turns, I should say. I nearly got me tongue a little bit twisted there. As Thompson now then through into the second to last corner, and there he will approach the final corner very, very soon, flicking it in, and Thompson coming down the pit straight is about to start his lap around about now, as Zachary Fitzwater in the second Chip Ganassi car will be next out on track after he had a very strong weekend at the Nürburgring a couple of weeks ago, as Thompson now then making his way down at the back straight now then, as he'll be as he's just coming up towards the end of it very, very soon before he approaches the right-hander. So down towards the right-hander goes Sam Thompson in the Ferrari as he flicks the car in through the right-hander using a bit of curb on the outside. Seeing a lot of people doing that. And be curious to see what his first sector is going to be like compared to Gomez, because we saw that the BMW seemed to, in the hands of Zollback at least, we're not sure really about Zolgu, who of course had a very good meeting last time out at the Nürburgring. We're not really sure of what the Ferrari can do in the first sector, but in the hands of the Zollback and the BMW, it wasn't exactly the best in that first sector. He was 6 tenths off. Let's see what Thompson is like in the first sector, and he's 5 tenths off, and again, slower than the two Peugeots, but he is quicker than Zollback in that first sector. So, yeah. Seems maybe Peugeot's got some decent pace, albeit a second off of Gomez. We'll see, Rob.
I think Gomez was just extra amazing, because nobody, even those in good cars, have been able to come anywhere near close to him. But let's see Thompson's middle sector. Maybe he can get a little closer, and maybe get in front of the Peugeots. No, he's 9 tenths down. Looks like he might be just about in front of Zorbach. He could be rather close here.
Let's see, though. Zorbach, of course, was only just able to beat Volker on that lap. But anyway, Thompson now then through the left-hander he goes, as he'll go flat out through the second to last corner, through the right-hander, and then into the left he will go now then as Thompson makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he goes into third position. So in fact, he actually splits the two Peugeots, but still slower than one of the Peugeots, that being Lucien. As we now look at Zachary
I'm surprised
Fitzwater.
he was able to go quicker than Galloway. Not Galloway, sorry, Holloway. Why was I thinking about Joe Galloway for a second there? But very good third sector there.
Probably because you were maybe thinking about some poetry there. Galloway, Holloway, kind of the same rhyme, really.
Yeah, I guess for a second. Nevertheless, Fitzwater is out on track, and yeah, he'll be next to start this lap. Sorry, I'm not sounding that full of ideas today, so I don't really know what to say. I'm missing my words a little bit, but nevertheless, Fitzwater will be hoping for a good lap here. And can he perhaps give within a second of Gabriel Gomez? I have to wait and see, but here we go.
Makes his way onto the straight now then, and Fitzwater is going to start his lap now then, as the next one on track will be Rubino Gonzalez in the second Ferrari, and I'll be curious to see what sort of pace he can do, given that Thompson was able to only split the two Peugeots on his lap. But Fitzwater coming out of turn 2. Now, Kirby didn't have the best of laps, it's fair to say, 2.1 seconds off of Gomez, and he's currently down in 10th position, and probably a chance of being outside of the top 10. So I'll be curious to see what sort of pace Fitzwater can do as well, whether he's going to be lapping sort of similar to what Kirby is, or whether it's just a case of Kirby not being able to get the car hooked up around here. Who knows? But anyway, Fitzwater now then coming down towards the bus stop chicane now then. The Australian flicking it in through the left-hander before making his way through the right and left now then. Through the right and then into the medium speed left-hander we go now then, as he will just miss the curb on the outside there. Up the hill he goes before making his way towards the end of the first sector. Let's see what his first sector is going to look like. And he's 3 tenths off in the first sector. So he definitely seems to be going quicker than both the Peugeots at the moment, so might be a case of Kirby not being able to hook the car up.
Yeah, Kirby was definitely struggling a lot in the first sector, particularly. I remember his braking into turn 3 wasn't exactly that great, but Fitzwater doesn't have any sort of issues like that at the moment. In the middle sector, only half a second down. Tell you what, he's going on to that original front row, and he's gonna get within a second of Gabriel Gomez here, unless he absolutely fumbles that last sector.
We will see as he now makes his way through that last sector. He goes through into the left-hander and now into the flat-out right he goes now. And Fitzwater, who had a very good race last time at the Nürburgring, looking to have another good race here at Yeongam if he can. Fitzwater across the line, he will go, and he does go second, and 7 tenths off of Gomez. So he's the first one to get under a second behind Gomez on that lap. A pretty good effort from the Australian, and a guaranteed top 7 start for the race, because there's only 5 cars left that are yet to do a lap, Rob.
Absolutely right, and of those 5 cars, the first one would be Rubino Gonzalez, as he is just about getting ready to begin his lap. Let's see First of all, if he can beat his teammate, and second, just how quickly the Ferryman can go.
Indeed so, as Gonzalez now then making his way through into the left-hander now then, before he'll approach the right and left very, very soon now then. So through the right and then into the left-hander now then will go the Spaniard before he makes his way onto the pit straight to start his flying lap. Next up on track will be Igor Peter in the Andretti, one of Bruno de Barros' rivals in the championship. He's 38 points back in the championship, having just been overtaken by Bartosz Kloss at the last race at the Nürburgring. Francis Kloss making it back-to-back wins last time out at the Nürburgring after picking up victories, of course, at Monza and also, as mentioned, the Nürburgring. So Gonzalez now then making his way towards the right-hander, and his teammate, of course, was only able to split the two Peugeots, and he's 1.2 seconds off of Gomez. So curious to see what sort of pace Gonzalez is carrying underneath his Ferrari.
All depends what his time in the first sector is like. He's not looking that particularly quick in the mid-corner sections, but looks can be deceiving. Let's see what his S1 is like. As he's about to cross that split, through the right we go, and Gonzalez is 6 tenths down.
That is slower than Thompson, I think, because he was 5 tenths slower in that first sector. So I think he's roughly carrying the same sort of pace as what Zorbach was, because Zorbach was around 6 tenths off in the first sector. So we could be looking at around about where Zorbach and Volker is at the moment, unless he can find some kind of miracle in these last two sectors.
That about checks out. Let's see. Through the middle sector split goes Gonzalez, and he is 1.1 seconds down. I think he might be battling with Mutka rather than with Zorbach and Volker.
We will see, of course, as Gonzalez now making his way through into the final few turns on the racetrack now. Then Gonzalez flicking the car in for the left and then into the flat-out right-hander. He will go now then as he makes his way into the final corner and onto the pit straight. Will go the Spaniard, and Gonzalez crosses the line and he goes into 8th position, only just getting in front of Mutka. So you were right in terms of about where Mutka is, but he does slot behind both Volker and Zorbach. So the Ferraris seemingly a little bit off around here at Yeongam.
Yeah, a little bit. Clearly not liking those high-speed corners, and this track has got plenty of those. As now we have Igor Peter. Maybe finally someone who can challenge Gomez for that pole position.
We will see, of course, as Peter now then making his way towards the right-hander now that he goes. Of course, he is, of course, Gomez's teammate, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of pace Peter can do compared to Gomez, who, of course, has been at the top since he came out third on track, of course, with a 1 minute 40.576. The only driver to get into the 1 minute 40 so far in this session, so be interested to see whether Peter can replicate that on his lap, but we'll see. Of course, Peter needs a very good result if he wants to close back in onto de Barros in the championship, and of course, this is technically de Barros' first match point, really, in terms of him trying to wrap up the title. So if Peter wants to win this, if he wants to get back into some sort of pace that he showed at the first race of the season at Indianapolis, he really needs to start getting his hammer down, because there's not really much time left. Speaking of Bruno de Barros, he will be next out onto the racetrack in the first of the two Penske. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of pace Penske are doing around here at Yeongam. As anyway, Peter now then coming down towards the right-hander now then before
Sorry about that noise from earlier, by the way.
It's all right. As now we come down towards the bus stop chicane now then, as we just see on the mini map, de Barros is just making his way out of the pit lane, of course, as Peter now then, coming around the right-hander and then flicking it in through the medium speed left. He will go. Let's see what his first sector is like compared to his teammate Gabriel Gomez in the first sector. Flat out for the right, and his first sector, he is 2 tenths off in the first sector. So he's quicker than Fitzwater, but clearly not quicker than Gomez at the moment. So it seems that Gomez has got some very good pace, and it seems that Peter just can't seem to match it at the moment.
No, definitely not. We'll have to wait and see what he can do in the third sector at the very least. And now the middle sector split, where is he going to go? Let's see how far down he is going to be on Gomez. Only just under 4 tenths, so he can definitely get himself onto the front row, but I don't see any way he can beat Gomez.
Indeed, as Peter now then making his way towards the final 3 turns now then. I think at the moment it's going to be an Andretti front row lockout unless he somehow fumbles it into these final 2 turns. But let's see, no such issues for Peter. Down the straight he goes. It should be second place. Across the line he goes, and it is. Half a second off his teammate though, but so far an Andretti front row lockout as we now see Bruno de Barros onto the racetrack, and we'll see whether Penske may have the pace on Gomez here.
Yeah, let's see. De Barros, of course, the favorite to take pole position and the win in any given weekend, and let's see if he can do it this time.
He makes his way through the right-hander now then, and of course he's the third to last car to come out. We just have Zolga and Kloss that just need to come after him as De Barros now they're making his way through the flat-out right-hander. He will go, and now into the final turn and onto the pit straight now then. He will go in the Penske, and De Barros is going to start his lap now then. Of course, next up will be Balint Zolga in the BMW Pyramid, and Zorbach all the way down in 7th, so it'd be curious to see what sort of pace Zolga can manage on his lap as De Barros just comes out of turn number 2 now then, and now making his way onto the back straight now then, and it will be very interesting to see whether De Barros is able to match Gomez's pace at this point, given that Gomez has got half a second on his teammate.
Should be quite interesting indeed, as he has a very good exit there, solid acceleration from that Penske out of turn 3. Let's see if he can do anything to stop those two Andretti's. Because, of course, the bar is extremely quick, but not every single time. Is this going to be an exception to his usual burst of pace or not? Let's see as he crosses the first sector split. And this is actually not so great. He's a 3/10 down. So I expect him to not even be on the front row, but he can still improve on this, of course.
Of course, Peter was actually 2/10 off of Gomez in the first sector, so it seems that De Barros not able to find any pace compared to not just Gomez, but seemingly also to Peter at the moment. As De Barros now they're making his way through the right-hander now, then he goes, and he's now 4/10 down in the middle sector. So I think you probably are right. He's probably going to slot in between both Peter and Fitzwater.
Yeah, looks like he just didn't have the same grip. Track evolution not really that substantial, so it's not helping De Barros so much. He's going to cross the line, and I don't think he's going to get on the front row, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Can he go second fastest, or we have to sell for third? He has to sell for third. But there wasn't much in it. Very small margin.
A small margin between Peter and De Barros, but still 6/10 off of Gomez. It seemed that Gomez, the lap he set earlier on, was very, very quick. Next up is Balint Zolga. Of course, he's the penultimate man to go out on the track. Of course, the last man to come out on track after him will, of course, be the man who has won the last 2 races so far this season, that being De Barros' teammate, Bartosz Kloss. And, of course, Kloss getting himself into the title fight as a result of his wins in the last 2 races, and maybe coming back into it maybe at the right time. We'll see. Of course, he still needs to really have to beat De Barros here, given that this is basically the first match point De Barros has, and as expected, of course, Kloss will indeed, to officially confirm, will be the last one to go out on track. But Zolga has started his lap. Of course, Zorbach earlier on wasn't exactly the best of laps for him, down in 8th position, so I'll be curious to see if Zolga is around about that sort of pace as well, and maybe squabbling with the McLarens and even the Peugeots and maybe even the Ferraris as well. I'd be curious to see where Zolga ends up after this qualifying lap.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see what sort of pace he's got in the car, as down the sport pit straight and into the hairpin of turn 4, taking a lot of curb on entry there. Through 5 and 6, exit from 6 is crucial for lap time, and he used all the track there. Let's see his first sector split. He is 2.5 tenths down. He could actually get himself onto the front row like this by Zolga.
It's pretty tight between Peter and Zolga. I think Peter may be just a tad bit quicker though in the first sector, but Zolga can easily recover that in the last 2 sectors and maybe get himself above Peter. We'll see, of course, as he makes his way through into the left-hander before making his way towards the right. Let's see what his middle sector now looks like. 4/10 down in the first sector, so I think he's going to.
Even with De Barros, this could be very close, but De Barros had a very, very strong third sector. So it looks like it could go either way. He could end up second, third, or fourth on the grid. But let's see if he hooks up this last sector nicely. I'm not sure if he can do the same as De Barros, because De Barros was very quick in that sector 3. But here goes Zolga finishing his lap, and he goes for fastest. Devil's phone number there.
I was just going to say that, the Devil's phone number behind Gabriel Gomez. So P4 there. But
only one car left to set a lap.
definitely a lot quicker than Zorbak. So clearly Zorbak not able to hook up a very good lap around here. But as mentioned, Bartosz Klos, the last one to do a lap, of course, has won the last 2 races. And it'll be interesting to see if he can try and challenge for pole here at Korea. Of course, the only man who can stop Gomez from getting pole position here as he now rounds the final 2 turns and even potentially stop Andretti from locking out the front row of the grid. As Klos now then starts his lap as he now thunders his way down towards the first 2 turns then on the racetrack. Through into turn 1 he goes, and now into turn 2 will go the Polish driver now then, as he now makes his way down at the back straight, and let's see what Klos is able to do on this lap.
Yeah, indeed. He's the only one who can take it away from Gomez, and if Gomez takes pole, then the championship permutations won't be affected at all. They'll be the same for the battles. But if Klos can take pole, of course, that will change things a little bit. So let's see what he can do in that first sector. Last time any driver goes in qualifying through the hairpin here, and in towards turns 5 and 6, goes Bartosz Klos. Rapid changes of direction here, of course. These medium speed corners are very, very critical for lap time. I've said so many times. Let's see if he can be up in the first sector. No. Just under 3 tenths slower than Gabriel Gomez. So it looks like he'll be battling with Peter Dabaros and Zolga to be on the second row. Might still have a chance to get himself onto the front row, but it looks unlikely unless he has a very, very good sector 2 and 3. I don't think pole position is within reach anymore, though. Gomez was just too quick. But let's see what Bartosz Klos has got in the tank. He's 4 tenths down in the middle sector. Just a little bit down on what the Barros had, I think. So this will be rather close between the 2 teammates and main championship protagonists. But yeah, let's see. Very, very tight section, of course, in these last few corners, where Bartosz Klos might be able to gain some lap time here. Gabriel Gomez is going to be on pole position, of course, but Bartosz Klos, where is he going to go? He gets onto the front row, and he splits the 2 Andretti's there. What a lap.
Very good last sector, but it is Gabriel Gomez who is on pole position for the race here at Yeongam. So let's quickly have a look at the leaderboard before we set up the grid. Gabriel Gomez on pole position with Bartosz Klos in second. Igor Peter in third with Bruno de Bauer's fourth. So the top 4 consisting of Andretti's and Penske's. Balint Zolga in fifth with Zachary Furtzwater. A good effort in sixth. Alex Eric Lucian in seventh. Sam Thompson eighth. Toby Holloway in ninth. A good qualifying for Peugeot. Nicholas Zorbak down in 10th with Florian Volker in 11th. And you can do the rest, Rob.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second. It is Robinho Gonzalez in 12th with Shimon Notka 13th, then it is Jordan Howell 14th, followed by Friedrich Chopin 15th, Roberto Corby 16th, Kim Sung-min 17th, Bartosz Braki 18th, Thomas Cassidy 19th, Francesco Rosa 20th, TJ Bapiro 21st, and here Gabriel in a disappointing 32nd and last.
2 drivers being over 3 seconds off pole sitter Gabriel Gomez. And as you can see, the only man to get into the 1 minute 40s. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment, of course, while Jiri sets up the grid. And I'm just going to set up the tweet and also send him the criteria to him on this chat. So bear with me, guys, if I go a little bit silent for the moment.
Yeah, and I will take a very short break to grab a snack real quick. So I'll be right back as well. But the stream will keep quiet for just a little bit, but we'll be back soon enough. All right. Well, I'm back.
And for me
So,
as well, I've just hit it back. You'll see the criteria in just a little bit on your screen very soon once Yuri sorts out the grid. But yeah, I think it will be it should be quite an interesting race. It'd be interesting to see whether Gomez can try and get his second victory of the season. A lot. It is, of course, his second pole this season, and I think he actually converted pole into the win last time he was on pole, which I think was at Spa-Francorchamps. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if he can do that again. But of course, he has got a very heavy challenge behind him, Rob.
absolutely right. It's not easy to hold off the two Penskes. They're very, very quick and race trim. But we'll have to see what happens, of course. Strategy can play a big factor here. Korea is not exactly kind on tires, let's be frank.
Indeed, and it'll be interesting to see how the race pans out. Of course, obviously a very good qualifying for Persia. It's fair to say. Of course, 7th and 9th, a good qualifying for Lucian up in 7th place as well.
I'll be right back.
Okay, fair enough. A very good qualifying for him, given that so far this season, he just seemed, ever since his strong race at Indianapolis, he never really quite was able to continue that. But maybe he's looking to try and maybe get himself some very good points here today here at Yeongam, and it will be quite curious to see if he's able to achieve that. Maybe see what his teammate Holloway is able to do from 9th position as well. And so that will be that really, as I'm just quickly taking a couple of photographs really for Rob and I for when we can keep an eye on the championship. Of course, I mentioned as well that in terms of the teams championship, because apart from De Bauers having a slim chance to win the drivers championship today, also the teams championship can be wrapped up. Of course, going into this, Penske is 72 points ahead of Andretti. And of course, a maximum a team can get per weekend is, for anybody curious, is actually 45 points. Because of course they get that from the 1-2 finish, which is worth 43 points, and they can also get bonus points for pole and the fastest lap, which gets it up to 45 points. So
Back.
obviously, they need to be 90 points ahead of Andretti by the end of this if they want to win it. In fact, I'm just going to double check quickly on that because, of course, wins can also come into it, of course. And I think Andretti have had 2 wins this season, whereas Penske have had, is it 7 wins? I'll quickly double check that because if that's the case, and they can't surpass them in terms of victories, but I'll do quickly double check on that. It's in fact 6 wins Penske has had, not 7. I don't know where I got the 7th one from, but here we are. But I'm just double checking. Yes, Andretti can't surpass them in terms of victories. Team Penske have 6, Andretti have 2 wins this season. And I'm just checking. They obviously, Penske need to be 90 points clear of Andretti by the end of the race if they want to wrap up the title, because there's only 90 points left after this race in the final 2 races in Japan, which are of course in Fuji and Suzuka. So they need to outscore Andretti today by 18 points. If they can achieve that today, then they will win the first ever World ChampCar Teams title.
13 points, huh? Well, if they finish first and second, I think they can do that.
18 points, I said, not 13.
Oh, 18, sorry. It's going to be a little more difficult, but it's certainly doable, especially if one of the Andretti's has a DNF.
Indeed. So it will be curious to see how that one plays out, really. But a 1-2 could help them, especially if one of the Andretti's go out of the race, especially, like you said. So it will be interesting to see. I'll put the championship standings up for me and Rob to look at so we can keep updated during the entirety of the race.
Either way, if Andretti win the race, then the top fight will go on. So they shouldn't be too worried about that.
Yep, indeed. But just want to point out the criteria is now on your screen, as you can see, and we might as well read it while we wait for the grid to show it. So it's only 2 bits of criteria. They're slightly similar, but they do have some different sort of outcomes that need to happen. So if De Barros wins and sets the fastest lap of the race, which would equate to 26 points, he needs his teammate Kloss to finish in 7th and Peter to finish 5th in order to win the title. However, if he doesn't get the fastest lap and he only just wins the race, then he needs Kloss to finish 8th and Peter to finish 6th to win the title. Like I said, it is a bit of a slim chance, but anything can really happen, Rob.
It's a little bit of a stretch, but if the race is a little more chaotic, a scenario like this can absolutely happen. So never rule it out until it's over.
Indeed so, and it'll be interesting to see what, of course, happens. I mean, like my commentating hero, Murray Walker, said, anything can happen in racing, and it usually does. Maybe it's one of those cases, but who knows, really. I think, realistically, I don't think Bruno will win the title today, but I could be proved 100% wrong. I'll eat humble pie if that is the case, but I'm quite convinced he won't win the title today, but you never know, of course.
Well, who knows, really? Could be interesting.
Indeed so. As still waiting for the grid to be set up, and hopefully we don't have any of the issues that we had at the beginning of the Nürburgring race when it came to drivers having one-stop strategies, and then it took us a while to try and get that one fixed. It took a couple of attempts to get that fixed, but eventually we did get it fixed, but it did take a little bit of a while. So hopefully we don't run into those problems this time by Yeongam. I think Yuri will soon write us up what strategies we'll be looking at for Yeongam, of course, because obviously mandatory 2 stops in this series, of course, unless we get a Silverstone style glitch, which hopefully will. I actually cannot remember you saying that, to be quite honest with you. Okay, so very short stints. Lap 10 to 15 is when we'll see the first stops, and then lap 25 to 30 is when we'll see the second stops. So quite short stints. Short pit windows, I should say, not short stints. But yeah, should hopefully be a good race, and of course one where it could maybe decide a championship if certain situations go a certain direction. But we'll see, of course. As we're in the closing stages of the World ChampCar series, of course. As you know, the finales for both World ChampCar and Formula E will be on the same week as scheduled, although I'll be interested to see how Yuri does that one, given his timing schedule. Maybe one gets pre-recorded and the other one live, but we'll see. But anyway, enough about that. That's for the future to worry about. We've now got the grid up on your screen right now, guys, as you guys have already seen the criteria. So for those of you who missed qualifying, this is how it looks like. We'll go 4x4 as per usual. Gabriel Gomez, for the second time this season, is on pole position with Bartosz Klos in second place. Igor Peter is in third, with championship leader Bruno de Barros in fourth.
Afterwards, it is Brian Zolga, P5 in the BMW Pyramid, and Zachary Fitzwater, P6. Alex Eric Lucien with a great qualifying in the Peugeot is in P7, and Sam Thompson in the Ferrari, P8.
Toby Holloway in the second Peugeot is in P9, with Nicolas Zorbach a disappointing 10th. Florian Volker starts in 11th, with Rubino Gonzalez in the second Ferrari in 12th.
Then it is Shimon Mutka in 13th in the car lane, followed by Jordan Howell, eager to get his first points of the season from 14th on the grid. Friedrich Zoppa is in 15th, followed by Jean-Pierre Kirby.
Some men, a good qualifying for him considering the car he's in 17th, with Bartosz Bracchi in 18th. Thomas Cassidy is in 19th, with Francesco La Rosa in 20th, and on the back of the grid, Rob,
we have TJ Bapira and Yuri Gabriel. 40 laps of action here at Yeongam, so it should be very interesting to see what happens. And this race looks like might be rain affected.
It looks like we're going to have light rain to start off with, but towards the end of the race, it could get heavier. We might avoid the heavy rain bit, but we'll see. But for the very least, it looks like it's going to be intermediate conditions. I'm not sure if it's going to start dry, though, because as you can see, the graphics are a little bit glitched up, but we will see, of course. Hopefully, we don't have the fuel issues that plagued the Nürburgring to start off with, and they do look like intermediate tyres from the looks of it. I think they are the shape of the intermediate tyres that we have in this series, and it seems that everything is good to go then. So we have Gomez on the left of your screens, we have Klos on the right. Who's going to get the lead to the first corner? The 5 lights are about to come on here at the Korea International Circuit, and they go off very, very quickly as we are underway, and it looks like a very good start for Bartosz Klos in the Penske now as he goes side by side.
Great
with
launch.
Gomez into the first corner, and he think he might have already got the lead, although Gomez is trying to go all the way around the outside, so Gomez keeps holding the lead for the moment. Can everybody keep it clean into that first corner? Will we see carnage like we saw in the top class a few times in the past? I'm not seeing any yellow flags, so I don't know if that means anything. Again, drivers could have damage, but Gomez keeps the lead to the first corner after not having the best of launches. Meanwhile, it looks like Peter is now all over the back of Klos. Klos having to defend, but Peter going to the inside into the airpin. Can he get the move done? No, he can't. De Barros hanging back for the moment as Fitzwater managed to get the jump on Zolga. There's contact at the back.
We got contact.
Kirby and Minnie have had contact. They've both got damage.
There's one more car, I think.
It's there. I couldn't quite. I don't think there is. I don't know if there is because there's no yellow flags. I don't see a dot down there. I don't know if there's been any collisions at the first corner. But are they the only two with damage? It looks like it. No, there isn't. Soper's got damage as well. So I think that must have happened at the first corner. So we've got 3 cars with damage, and I'll be curious to see how that one came out. But it looks like as everybody's trying to fizzle their way around these bus stop chicanes, as Mins obviously as mentioned got damage, Gonzalez has got damage as well. So let's see how this one kicked off. I'll be curious to see as well how Soper got damage early on.
Yeah, let's look at Gonzalez there. Did he go for an impossible dive bomb? No, he got hit from behind by Kirby. And did Kirby hit him on his own volition, or did he get punted from behind?
It looked like it was all on Kirby's. In fact, that's how Soper got the damage. In fact, so it was actually 2 separate incidents at the corner. Really, Soper went into the back of Gonzalez, and then you had Kirby who went into the back of Min there. So 2 separate accidents going on there.
Yeah, very bizarre there. Bizarre start to his green race, but Gomez continues to lead. Everyone is on enters, correct?
Not the corrupt graphics, Flo. They are actually the correct graphics for once. But anyway, so look at Kloss, meanwhile. He's now starting to get all over to the back of Gomez, and maybe he could line up for a move, perhaps, down into the first corner. We will see, of course, as they make their way through the section of corners where the barriers are surrounding, of course, and they're right next to the river. But the top 4 really, really close together at this stage as they make their way through into the final few turns on the racetrack. They've all basically got away from Fitzwater, who's basically holding up another train behind. But Kloss now right in the selection of Gomez. This is his chance to try and take the lead. Onto the inside goes the Polish driver. He's going onto the inside. Kloss sets the early fastest lap. As a result, onto the inside goes the Penske driver, and he's got the move done. Kloss takes the lead of the race.
Yeah, but Gomez can still try to fight back on the back straight. He's gone a little deep though, so I don't think he can fight back anymore. Looks like he might be overtaken. He's already been passed by 1 car, and the boss is going to try to make it 2. We're on the outside of turn 3. It's a terrible first few laps for Gomez. He doesn't have the pace he had in qualifying anymore. Doesn't look like that.
Thompson is on the inside of Zolga going into the hairpin there. That's a fantastic move for the Ferrari, and up into P6 as the damaged cars from lap 1 are now into the pits. Gonzalez, Kirby, Min, and of course Soper as they all make their way down the straight. So their races will already be in the bin as a result of having to pit for damage. So anyway, as they now make their way through into the bus stop, you can see that Kloss is already starting to get away from Peter as De Baus wasn't able to get by on Gomez on that occasion. But once again, Rob, Kloss with some very good pace.
Just taking his time, I think, but he might have another chance to pass him. If he's fueled heavy or anything, but he's just off the pace at the moment.
Indeed so, as it's now looking like that Thompson is now all over the back of Fitzwater in that other train that's going on behind the top 4 drivers at the moment. As we now ride on board with Gomez, who's trying to keep up with his teammate Peter, but it seems that Peter is now maybe potentially losing him and looking to see if he can now try and gain onto Kloss in front and maybe try and gain some time he may have lost from trying to overtake Gomez a little bit earlier on. But I think Gomez will need to watch out from De Baus for behind.
Yeah. He'll be piling on the pressure, and Gomez just didn't seem to have the tires. He didn't seem to have the same grip in the tire, and clearly struggling in these conditions at the moment.
Baus now in on the inside as Kloss sets another fastest lap. Down the inside goes the Baus. This should be the move done for the championship leader, and it is. And he's up into P3 as a result. As Thompson's now on the inside of Fitzwater, and that's P5 for the Ferrari driver. Zolback tried to have a go at Lucien into the first corner at the same time. Didn't work out there. As
Fitzwater goes extremely deep, almost collides there with Zolga. Thankfully he doesn't, but this could be a free wide moment.
Fitzwater's not giving that up, but Zolga has got through there. And look at this lot. Please keep it clean, guys. All 5 of you going down this straight. Fitzwater trying to get back at Zolga on the inside. Zolback also having a go as well. Oh, contact there between Fitzwater and Zolback. A little bit more contact, but luckily nothing too serious. And Zolback maybe a bit aggressively, but he's up into 8th.
No damage, but looks like he's had a pretty bad traction. Lucien might be trying to come back at him, but he just runs out of road.
Yep, indeed. It looks like LaRosa is losing track of time to the guys in front at the moment. As you can see some positions gained and lost there. Mainly in the 1s, 2s and 3s, whether that's climbing up positions or going low down. Not really anyone dramatic in the top 10 at the moment. But Gomez now down to 4th after being on pole a little bit earlier on. But I can tell you for a fact that De Baus will not win the title if it stays like this. It was obviously a slim chance, but at the moment he will not win the title at the moment, as both Peter and Klaus will gain points onto him in the championship if it stays like this. Just trying to have a look in the team's championship situation. I think that will remain unchanged as well. I think Penske will not win the team's title, but I think they will have a very good shot at winning it at Fuji if it were to stay like this.
As it stands, Andretti, bonus points aside, Andretti are going to pick up 30 points, and it'll be 40 for the Penskes. So, yeah, as it stands, if they finish third and fourth, I think Andretti are still in it, basically.
It'll be 41 at the moment, I can tell you with the bonus point, because at the moment Kloss has got the fastest lap of the race. So it'll be 41 at the moment, but still not enough for them to wrap up the championship, but we'll give him a good chance of getting it.
Tried to go for a move into the last corner. That was a little bit of an interesting attempt. But now into turn one, he's going to send down the brakes, but Fitzroy thinks to defend well, and Zorbach thinks better of it. Maybe trying to pile on the pressure onto the straight, but looks like Fitzroy might have just gotten a little bit better traction. So Zorbach is gaining in the slipstream, but I don't think he's gaining enough unless he wants to send it under braking. He will not get this position right now.
Fitzwater already going defensive going into the right hand.
Volker is up in position, as is Holloway.
It looks like Lucian's been mugged somewhere because he's down into 11th position. Maybe a similar sort of thing that happened with both Gomez and Fitzwater a little bit earlier on. So it looks like a case of
must have been the outside line of turn 2, I bet.
I'm presuming that as well, but either the case, Lucian has now been kicked out of the points, and now Volker is now into the points for McLaren.
Yep, indeed, as now Bartosz Kloss is trying to eke out an advantage over Igor Peter, but looks like the Brazilian is keeping within touching distance, so it could be interesting. Of course, you can't attack him right now for position, but his pace isn't too bad.
Indeed, as Kloss now then making his way through into the corner, both keeping it around about the 1.5 second mark. Peter taking around about 700ths off of him in that time by, not really much, but that's pretty much that. 1.6 between Peter and De Bauers. Meanwhile, in that sector, as you can see, Thompson has now got away from the train of cars that are behind him, maybe trying to close up a bit onto Gomez. It'll be quite curious there to see how that one plays out. But Kloss is about to start lap 5 of the race.
Yep, that's right. And it's been an entertaining race so far, if I dare say so. But of course, it's still early days, and we'll have to see what happens. As Peter gained 2/10 of the bars there for the last sector, as now Zorbach once again trying to go for a move into the last corner. And tell you what, he's actually done it. What an incredible pass that was on Fitzroy. You don't see stuff like that in the dry, but in the wet, what a move.
Indeed, it is quite common that is if you've got fresher tyres, but obviously these guys on the same amount. As Lucian gets back into the points at the expense of Volker, so that didn't last too long for the 5-time top class champions. Meanwhile, Holloway now trying to get onto the gearbox of Fitzwater in front, who may be still on Zorbach's slipstream. We will see.
Looks like Fitzwater is close to Zorbach, but just not close enough, and this could give Holloway an opportunity if he nails the exit of this corner. As Volker has lost another position, he's down to 12th place. As now Holloway is gaining the slipstream of Fitzwater, but just not gaining enough. He's too far back to think about a move.
Indeed so. Gabriel thought about a move there going into the hairpin, but didn't have to back out of it at the last second as Gomez continues to lose time to the drivers in front. Clearly must be running maybe a heavier fuel load at this point. Of course, for anybody who needs a reminder, of course, the stints... the first lap of pit stops is between lap 10 to 15, and the second one between lap 25 and 30. So something to point out in mind there.
Yep, indeed, as Fitzwater is now under heavy pressure from Holloway. Could he perhaps try to pull off the same move Zorbach did, as Klaus has increased his advantage just a little bit, 1.6 seconds to Peter, but Peter was actually 1.7 down earlier, so Klaus increased the advantage a bit, but now Peter cut down the deficit once again a little bit, so it's looking very, very interesting between these two drivers.
Indeed so, as Kloss now they're making his way onto the pit straight to start lap 6 of the race. It was 1.6 last time between him and Peter. It's now down to 1.4, so it's safe to say at this stage Peter is starting to lap quicker than Kloss.
Yeah, indeed, the bar appears to be slower than both of them, but only just.
De Bauer's finding himself around 1.9 behind Peter at this stage, as Holloway trying to go for a similar move to what Zorbach did, and it works out. So clearly Fitzwater clearly struggling in his first stint, and Holloway is up into 8th.
Hang on though, he's not done, he's going to try to come back. But Holloway closes the door nicely, and Fitzwater can't do anything about that.
Yeah, it seems that Fitzwater is struggling at this stint of the race, which is a bit of a shame given the good qualifying that he put in a little bit earlier on to qualify in 6th position. Meanwhile, we've got the two McLarens fighting for 12th as they're currently stuck behind Simon Mutka's car, but it looks like Howell maybe wanted to pounce on Volker, and it looks like he might be one to go on his more experienced teammate here.
Looks like an easy pass here, but he still needs to get it done on the braking. And can he get the better of his teammate? So far, yes, but they're still side by side in the traction zone. And Volker will have the inside for the next corner, so I think it's an advantage to him. But Howell is gaining a little bit in the slipstream. That car in front, but I think Volker will have the position. Down the inside goes Volker, and he retains the place. But now they'll turn into the outside for the next corner for the right-hander. Volker holds on.
Indeed, luckily he didn't go too deep there because we have seen in the top class people making mistakes through into that corner, but not on this occasion for Volker. Of course, in the top class, he is a previous winner, of course, having won here twice in 2011 and 2012. So he does obviously have some very good experience of this racetrack, but clearly so far, it's a little bit of a mystery in terms of his pace so far. 1 point he looks quick, other times he's looking a little bit slow. But one thing that is for certain, though, the top three are still keeping each other honest at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely right. The bars is actually gained onto Klaus a couple of tenths there. That's interesting. And Peter is also making some substantial gains. Gap is 1.2 seconds. And we're going to get an update very shortly. It's still 1.2 seconds. Klaus was able to actually build it up by half a tenth. So he's definitely trying his best to respond to Peter's push.
Indeed so.
But
And
one thing is for sure is that if Bartosz Klaus wins today, it won't be an easy win. He's going to have to work for it. As now Dorbach is making another move. He's going to pass by Zolga. And down the inside he goes. He's got him.
Which are positions there for the two BMW Pyramids, and Zorbach trying to make amends after the tricky qualifying is now Lucian is now starting to attack Fitzwater for 9th position. Bracky now on the inside of TJ Papero now then heading into the first corner, and that should be the move done for the Polish driver, and it is. Bracky up to 14th, or is it? Because Papero trying to hang around the outside, but I think he will easily get the move done, and he does. Is he going to get mugged now by his teammate? And he does. Cassidy also gets through on Papero there, so that's pretty much that. But Kloss still leading as he's now got the gap up to 1.4 seconds, and now Kloss starting to respond a bit to Peter.
Yeah, just a little bit, but some strong pace from both of these guys, and for the Bars as well. These three are leaving Gomez and the rest of the field for dead pretty much, and looks like they're in a league of their own, and they're gonna keep battling the three championship protagonists, you could say. And of course, let's not forget, I don't want this to be a commentator's curse, but suppose Peter and Klaus crash each other out of the race and the Barros takes the win. Then that means the Barros is champion today. Of course, I'm hoping that collision does. I'm hoping they don't crash together, and they're hoping they don't crash together. I'm only bringing it up as a hypothetical. But nevertheless, Igor Peter wants to get this win to get back in title contention. As now Volker is going for a move. Is he going to crash here with the Carlin? Somehow they didn't collide. Incredible stuff. Simon Mutka just about holds on. Howell is also trying to put on the pressure on his McLaren teammate.
I genuinely thought for a minute there was going to be a collision, given that we've seen a few of them in the top class, especially this season as well. So I'm a bit surprised there that there wasn't any collisions on that occasion. So Volker definitely a little bit more smarter there, but I think he's going to get a nice run on Mutka down the pit straight. Maybe even the same for Howell as well.
Yeah, very interesting. He could try, of course, to move into the last corner, but no, he's nowhere near close enough. Meanwhile, Klaus has increased his advantage yet again, 1.5 to Peter, 3 seconds exactly to the Bars. As Lucian goes down the inside and passes Sacrificer for 9th. He's back in P9. As parents have a little bit of contact, and now hitting the back of Mutka there as well. Mutka's going to go for the outside of turn 2. He's going to lose both places.
Indeed, and I thought there was going to be a collision there, but they have both got through. It was a little bit scruffy there from Howell, but I guess it worked well for McLaren in the end.
Interesting tactics.
You could say that again. As you can see on the replay, you can see Howell left his braking a little bit late, clipped the back of Volker, who then went into the back of Mutka. That pushed him wide. Volker basically saying, probably going to be giving Howell a bit of cash in the post box for that one, because he basically helped him get through there, and also Howell making his way through as well. But I bet Mutka's not going to be happy about that bit of tactics from McLaren.
No, definitely not, but he's trying to come back at them. Meanwhile, Peter lost another 2/10 of a second. Klaus is finally starting to find some more pace.
As we're around 2 laps away now from the first of the 2 mandatory pit stops coming into effect, of course, especially for those who didn't get damage on the first lap, of course. As for the guys who did get damage, I think they're going to have to make 2 extra pit stops in this race, so their race already down the toilet as a result of that one. As whoa, Holloway has a bit of a moment going through into the left-hander there, and
He's
that's
gone
going to
wide, and
compromise.
he's going wide. Do you want yet again? Can rejoin safely here? Just about,
He
but
loses
loses
a
the
place.
place.
He had already taken Zolga somewhere unseen by the cameras, but now he's lost that place again thanks to a little bit of aquaplaning there, Rob.
Yeah, and was completely out of position for the right-hander. Was nowhere near the racing line, and that was the second mistake. It was impossible to keep it on track from trying to approach the corner from that angle. But that initial slide started it all, and as a result, Toby Holloway is getting to do all that hard work of passing Zolga once again.
Indeed so, and he's probably going to be kicking himself for making that mistake, but he's already starting to close back in onto Zolga, who seems to be struggling at this first part of the race, maybe carrying a little bit more fuel than what the others around him are doing at this stage. The gap between Peter and De Barros is still 1.2 seconds. Peter pulled away just a tad bit on that sector there, but only by a couple of hundredths there, as it was around
It's
1.9.
marginal, as now Gomez is under pressure from Sam Thompson, trying to take fourth place, takes a very aggressive line, and somehow they don't collide, but Gomez holds on to the position. And I think he'll be safe for this straight because he's got much better traction. Peter Mino is 2 seconds down on Klaus, so he's losing some ground. As now Zolga v Holloway round 2. Holloway down the inside he goes, and he's taken the position quite easily.
Indeed, as Zolga tried to hang it around the outside, but it's not going to work out. Is anybody behind going to take advantage? The answer to that is no. Lucian
Not close
was a little
enough.
bit too far back to pounce on that. But anyway,
As
as
Klaus
you
just
mentioned,
made a mistake. I think Peter is much closer than he was before.
we'll check when we get to the first sector time. We're not too far away from that, and no, it just looked like it was just a little bit of maybe the spray being a little bit deceiving because it's now got up to 2.3 seconds. It's gone down to 1.1 though between Peter and De Barros, so De Barros starting to lap a little bit quicker than Peter at the moment.
Looks like Peter might be pushing his tires a little bit too hard and wearing them out, of course. And as a result, not only is he losing to Klaus, but the Boris is reeling him in. And looks like the Boris and his team are evenly matched at the moment. Holloway, confirmation there once again. He's taking the position. Confirmation waiting a little bit to go away, but now the arrows are going away. As Boris is gaining onto Igor Peter in front, but I don't see him being close enough to attack at this stage. He's gonna have to wait at least 1 or 2 more laps, I think.
Yeah, indeed, as we're now approaching the pit window for the first pit stop, as Kloss will start lap 10 of the race, which he has done now then. So we're now at the first of two pit stops window now then, as we're at the lap 10 to 15 mark, as it looked like there was some mistakes going on there, going into that right-hander there, a little bit of twitching going on. But we're now at that point of the race where we're going to maybe start to see some guys making their pit stops on this lap. Who will be the first to blink out the leaders, though, I wonder?
It's interesting. We haven't taken a look at their fuel loads, have we? So we don't know if the differences in pace are due to actual pace or due to fuel delta. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, Klaus was dropping a lot of pace to Peter earlier, but looks like he's solved that issue.
He's actually coming into the pits this lap, as you can see on the screen. So Kloss will actually
He was
be the
fuel
first.
lighter.
So he is a very light fuel load there, as looks like Lucian's starting to gain back onto Zolga. Meanwhile, down the inside goes Bracky, who's having a very good race indeed. He's pitting this lap, but the Viper getting by on the Carlin, Mutka, for 13th position as Thompson's
He's
past
going to
Gomez.
lose 1 more place. Good move from Thompson. Meanwhile, we have to take a look at it, of course. And look at this. Could be another free wide moment.
Yep, as it looks like Mutka's getting mugged here by the Meyershanks and maybe even the second Viper here, as Gabriel's going to look to the inside going into the right-hander. Not going to work though. Mutka a little bit later on the brakes and he's going to stay in front. But as mentioned, Thompson has passed Gomez and he's up into 4th position.
Yep, are we going to see a replay of that? I'm not quite sure. Meanwhile, the two Meyershanks into combat, but looks like the car in front remains in front. I'm not sure if that was Bapir or Cassidy who was ahead, but either way, Bartosz Klos, who has been leading this race every single lap except the first lap, is going to come into the pits now and concede the lead to Igor Peter for the moment. We have Thompson. We're going to get a look at this move on Gomez, but he's already pulled away a second and a half, but into the pits goes the race leader.
Kloss is now into the pits for Penske. Peter now leading the race from De Bouwers for the brief period in time. And let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for Bartjes Kloss. Let's see.
Here we go. And is he going to change tires or is he going to stay on the same compound?
Slicks.
Slicks!
They're slick tyres for Kloss. That's interesting for Penske. What have they got planned here? I
It's a
haven't
long
seen a
time too, 9.5 seconds. I don't think the track is good enough.
I haven't seen a dry line anywhere on the track, unless Kloss has seen something that we haven't. I've not seen a dry line appear on the track. That is a very, very bizarre call from Kloss. And, well, if this goes the wrong way for him, it could prove costly as he's trying to gain points on De Bouwers in the championship.
Absolutely right. We'll have to keep a very close eye on what his pace is like in these tires in these conditions. As now Jordan Howell is making a move on his teammate Florian Volker. Bartosz Bracki and TJ Bapiro are in the pits. But here goes Howell down the inside. He's taking P11.
I'm curious to see what those two in the pits are going on as well, because we've just seen Kloss go on the dry tyre. Bracki has, they've only just come into the pits now, and I was about to react there, but they've only just come into pit lane. Let's see, do they also do the same and go onto the slick tyre? Let's see, a change of tyres, and yeah, they also go on the slick as well. So these drivers must be seeing something that we haven't, Rob, because I've not seen one dry line yet.
It's a very, very interesting and strange strategy call, and they're having very long pit stops as well. 11.1 for Papiro. Meanwhile, Peter and De Barros, I think they've been told of this opportunity, and they're going to try to push on the inters while it's still wet out there. De Barros is coming in this lap, I just noticed. But now Kloss
is actually gaining on the dry. Actually gaining on the dry tyre, so I think it might be the right tyre. And I did see that De Bouwers is actually.
There goes Holloway.
It should be the move done because he's got fresher tyres and maybe the better ones, and yet that's it. So I think the slicks are the right tyres, Rob. Even though we can't really see it, it seems that they're able to find some more pace on the slick tyres around here.
Maybe it looks deceptive because of just how much spray there is, but the track might be much, much better than it looks. And Bartosz Kloss putting those fresh tires to good use as his teammate is into the pits in a bid to jump Igor Peter.
De Bouwers is into the pits. Peter has decided to stay out for a little bit longer. Maybe it's not time for him yet to go on track, but De Bouwers is into the pits for Penske.
He's coming in this time.
Yes, he will be, and it is slicks as expected for De Bouwers. So let's see where he's going to emerge. Kloss should get by pretty easily, I would imagine.
Let's not forget he had a little bit of traffic, though.
Kloss has just got through now. I've just seen him there, so no problems there. De Bouwers is going to emerge, I think, just behind Holloway in 7th place. Yes, he will. He will come out just in front of Zolgis, a P7 for him, but it'd be interesting to see whether he can jump Peter, who is, of course, pitting this lap. Same goes for Sam Thompson in the Ferrari, of course, but he's obviously not with that battle, but he is pitting at the same time as Peter.
It's really, really surprising how strong these slicks are. It was a completely random call. It looked like it was completely out of nowhere. But looks like it's working so far for Bartosz Kloss. And now Igor Peter will come in. He's gone a little bit deep here and lost some time.
Yeah, indeed, as I would expect him to also go on to the slick tyres as well when he makes his pit stop. There's obviously a few other guys as well that will be also coming in to do that switch as well. So I think everybody who'll be coming in now is obviously going to be expected to go onto the slick tyres during this first pit stop window. Gabriel opting to do the same, I think, as well. He's just coming to the pits for Viper there. And let's see how quick the stop will be for Peter. And given he's had to stay out an extra lap longer, I wonder if this could be costly in his battle with De Bouwers. But maybe it could come back to him because he'll obviously have 1 lap fresher tyres compared to De Bouwers. We'll see.
Might have a chance to come back, but as you just said, we will need to wait and see. He's got 29.7 seconds advantage to Kloss, though, so could he even have a shot at jumping the former race leader? I'm not sure. Let's see.
It depends really on how long this pit lane is. But anyway, Peter is now into the box for Andretti. They should be the slick tyres, I would imagine. And yes, they are. So let's see how quick this stop is going to be for Igor Peter, as somebody else has just temporarily taken the lead there. It's definitely not Penske. 8 seconds. Although Peter's had to wait for Thompson. So any chance he possibly had at trying to jump the Penske, he's gone down the toilet because Thompson was there on the scene. And this might help the mini-map.
The Barros has just overtaken Holloway.
And I think he's going to jump him because as there is the dry line. We've just seen the dry line at the first corner. So he has now appeared and De Bouwers has jumped Peter. So that hold-up has cost him dear, Rob.
Yeah, indeed. He'll be a little bit angry at Thompson, I think. But now I think he's trying to forget that and get on and catch De Bouwers again. He has 1 lap fresher tires, which might be a good advantage. in these conditions, of course. You want to hold on to your tire advantage, and in the wet, tire advantages are quite substantial. As La Rosa is coming into the pits as well. Gabriel Gomez is the original race leader, but obviously he's yet to pit. He's gonna have to.
Indeed, and he's not pitting just yet though, because he hasn't got the pit icon on his dash just yet. He is.
Looks like he's lapped Kim Sung Min.
Meanwhile, Kloss is all over the back of Zorbak here, who is also still yet to pit. And I wonder if it's going to come down to traction again, like we saw with Holloway a little bit earlier on. Let's see. Zorbak goes a bit deep.
He's wide.
Kloss is going to go to the outside, and it should be an easy move. No, it's not. He opts to stick behind him there. But
there's the bars in the background there. Look, 5 seconds down on Kloss, but Zorbak is going to help him gain and close that gap a little bit. Peter has just overtaken Holloway in the meantime.
Indeed, Holloway still yet to pit as well, as now they come around this section of corners now then on the racetrack, and we talked about it earlier, but now we are starting to see a dry line starting to spread, which is a little bit surprising given the weather forecast was saying that it was going to be into conditions for...
Remember when we said the gap was 5 seconds? The bars is much closer now. Zorbak doing the ultimate hold-up game here, as Kloss is going to pass him finally into the last corner. Brundis Barros has gained so much on this lap.
Indeed, as Zorbak will be coming into the pits this lap, as in fact, Barros, now because the track is improving, has just set the fastest lap of the race, and I think we're going to see some lap times start to tumble anyway as the track continues to dry out.
He's just 1.7 seconds down on Kloss. Bartos is going to be out of the race. Transmission problem, and no, don't park it there. But somehow, thankfully, no debris ends up on track.
With first retirement of the day, courtesy of Bartosz Bracki. A bit of a shame, really, because he had a very strong first stint. As he obviously overtook his fellow compatriot Simon Mutka earlier on, so he was looking particularly strong. A bit of a shame, really, that his gearbox has failed on him. But we're now starting to see some more pit stops. Just saw Holloway was in. Howell is also coming to the pits as well, and obviously they're on the slick tyres. Zolga's also just come in, as is Thomas Cassidy in the Meyer Shank racing car, as he now puts on the dry tyres as well. So, as we're pretty much getting close to the end of the first pit stop window coming to a close, really.
And I think, let's not forget, Zorbak earlier cost Kloss 3.5 seconds, and now looks like he's holding up the bars because Kloss has put a 3-second advantage already between himself and Zorbak, and now Zorbak is going wide. Can the bars take the position? Peter has caught up.
Yeah, he has.
And so does Peter, wow.
And now Peter is right onto the back of De Barros, and of course he's got fresher tyres to De Barros, and now he's back in his slipstream range.
So Zorbak, he held up one Penske, then he held up the other Penske. So very interesting. Zorbak, of course, struggling for grip on those inners on a rapidly drying track.
And he is pitting this lap as well, so it wouldn't have. They would have disposed of Zorbak anyway after this lap because he was coming in. Gomez, I just saw, also got the indicator. I think we're in the impromptu stage because I'm pretty sure I didn't see an icon next to Gomez, so I think we're at an impromptu stage of the race. But he's now into the pits to get the dry tyres on. Same goes
because Igor Peter is going to dive down the inside.
Gonna think about a move as Peter's actually set the fastest lap. He's broken to the 1:48 as a result, but not able to get the move done. But maybe could get a run down towards his back straight as De Barros has not had the best exit at all.
No, definitely not. He's under a lot of pressure right now. He was trying to gain onto Kloss, thanks to Zorbak and being close, but now he got impeded by Zorbak. And now he's under heavy pressure from Igor Peter, but Peter just not there.
Yep, not quite able to get the move done on that occasion, but it's definitely clear that Peter is putting De Barros under lots and lots of pressure as they both try and close in onto Bartosz Kloss in front as Gomez rejoins in fifth. So basically the same position that he was before the pit stops, because of course Thompson passed him before the pit stops, but now Thompson, because he's been on the dry tyres longer, has got a bigger gap to Gomez as well.
Just in front of Holloway. That was close.
Only just, though, getting in front of the Peugeot there. Volker now into the pits. He stayed out for quite a while on the inters. Is now Howell, his own teammate, is now trying to have a go at the Meyer Shank here, who has actually got up into P11 and is on the dry tyres. Well, I think this is Thomas Cassidy. No, it's Pepero. He's trying to pass there. I think Pepero's been on the dry tyres for a while, so he's actually, in fact, despite having a pretty tricky first stint, it seems that during this transitional period, Rob, Pepero's been able to get a lot during this stage because he's now up into 11th.
Yeah, quite impressive. Honestly, was one of the early drivers to pit, of course, but it doesn't take away from the effort. He's been having some very strong pace from the effort he's had. I mean, it doesn't take away from the effort. So yeah, but Pirro might be able to get some points today. We'll see. He's in 11th. He'll be trying to gain some more. Meanwhile, is Klaus pulling away from these guys who are battling each other?
See, but anyway,
Might be.
is he close enough to try and get the belt on this occasion? I'm not sure, because I think the belt actually had some pretty good traction coming out of that corner, and as a consequence, Peter not close enough to try and go for an overtake onto the belt on that occasion. But let's see if he can try and get him down onto this back straight again as he made the way through the flat out turn 2. And again, not able to on that occasion. The belt, is he starting to respond a little bit now to Peter? I'm not sure.
Either way, looks like, judging by the minimap, Bartosz Klaus is going to have some lap traffic to deal with.
It looks like more rain has just appeared on the screen. So, I did mention earlier on the weather forecast, there was no sign of a dry period potentially happening. Could we be in a situation where it goes dry and then maybe goes wet again? That will be quite
Could be the case.
Be a thing to keep an eye on, as the gap is 3.6 seconds between the two pences. It looks like Klaus is actually coming up to some traffic in front in the form of one of the Mana cars. I think that's Kim Sung Min he's coming up behind. If it is Kim Sung Min, because that is the exact same livery he uses and the exact same sponsor, of course, which is Korean Airways.
Home race for him,
now,
of course.
Meanwhile, Howell is again trying to attack Papiro into the first corner. Can he get the move done this time on the Maya Shank? The answer to that is no. It just seems like Papiro may have it set up pretty well in the straight line speed. I'm not sure.
And he's got much better traction there, so it'll be a little bit more tricky for Howell. In fact, he needs to hold on and defend from the Viper behind him. The Barros, meanwhile, Corbis has the fastest lap, as Kim Sung Min is finally making way for Bartosz Klaus, but he's lost some time as a result of the hold-up.
Down to 3.1. In fact, they're not far behind. They're only just turned up on the scene, really. So, Plus will be hoping that Min can hold up these two as well. But it looks like the Barros will need to look at his mirrors because Peter is still right there.
Don't forget, the Barros has to go through the same pain. He's going to need to pass Min as well.
Yep, same for Peter as well. As Peter's now sets the fastest lap, he's broken to the 1 minute 46 and was actually closer than he was the previous lap to the Barros, but not close enough to go for a move yet. As they make their way out of the first corner, now through into turn 2, they will go now. Then will Peter try and get a run on the Barros down this back straight? Let's see.
I think the Barros set the fastest lap for a second, but immediately, 10th of a second afterwards, it flashed, and Peter took the fastest lap instead. So these guys are pushing very hard to catch Klaus, who was impeded by that manner.
As he wasn't able to get the Barros on that occasion now then, as it's down to 1.9 thanks to that hold-up, so it's now got under 2 seconds because of Min's hold-up of race leader Bartosz Klaus, as Zorbak now sets the fastest lap. So as the track gets dry, of course, we are starting to see the lap times tumble even more.
Yeah, indeed, but you noticed earlier as well, Joe, just a minute ago, the rain was picking up a little bit on the back straight, and now the Barros makes his way through without any difficulties. But if it's not the same case for Peter, he's being impeded here. He's going for the outside. He's passed him, but he's lost plenty of time there as a result. And now he's over second down on the Barros.
I don't think he's going to be particularly happy about that one, that's for sure. And he's got to do all that hard work again to gain back on to the Brazilian. But I'll be curious to see now, with no traffic around, what the Barros' pace is
There
like.
still is one more lapped car in front of these guys, actually. Look at the minimap.
Just having a little look, yes, but it is still quite a bit away at the moment, so they're not quite close yet at this occasion. The track, as you can see at that part, continues to dry up even more, so we should see
Either
some more...
way, thanks to the lap traffic, we have a battle for the win once again between all three of these guys.
Indeed, and Peter having to gain all the lost time that he lost from being stuck behind Min again. What is the gap now between him and De Barros as a result? As we started lap 18 of the races, Howell has got a pit call and he's got another problem.
Oh no!
And who's still yet to score points and could have been fighting for points again in this race. It looks
Look
like
at that pass meanwhile from the Viper. As Thompson said, the fastest lap. But what a shame for Jordan Howell.
I think that might have been a back marker, actually, that was trying to get out of the way, but didn't. But Jordan Howell is out of the race as a result, and we're now down to 20 runners. So maybe a chance to try and challenge for some points again down the tournament for Howell. And still, he's still got 2 races left. He's only got 2 races left now to try and get some points, as Gomez now sets the fastest lap of the race.
What a shame for Howell. He was actually looking very quick today. Zorbak takes the new fastest lap. Keeps tumbling down, but what a shame. Actually got it for Jordan Howell. He was looking very good. He actually got past his teammate Florian Farker on pace and was challenging for for just outside the points. But he's gonna walk home with none once again. And what a shame this is, for no fault of his own.
Indeed so, as we look at Kloss again now, who is just trying to keep those two behind at bay. And just trying to see when the next time the graphic comes around what the gap looks like between him and De Bauer. It's down to 1.6 seconds. So I wonder if De Bauer is starting to lap quicker than Kloss. Meanwhile, down the inside goes Mutka on La Rosa. Doesn't work out though. It stays where it is for the moment. As we look back now at De Bauer, who has still got. He looks like Peter is starting to gain back onto him.
Looks like yeah, indeed. Looks like Peter is the fastest out of the first 3 cars.
And I think you were right earlier about that Viper. It does look like it was actually for position, so I do apologise. That wasn't a lap car. He's actually in 12th position. But look at this, Peter, closer than everyone to Bowers. He's going to go to the inside. He's got a yellow flag down at the hairpin, meanwhile. Has Peter got the move done? He adds that his nose. He sets the fastest lap. But why have we got yellows? It's Mutka who's out of the race. Now, is that an accident or is that a mechanical failure? No, it's a mechanical failure for Mutka, and it's another gearbox-related issue as well.
Oh my God.
Kirby nearly got collected there by Mutka's stationary car there. Kirby, a very lucky driver indeed.
My goodness. You remember the Mark Webber Nico Rosberg crash in 2010? This would have been a carbon copy of that, except a different.
Yeah, indeed. As meanwhile, Peter again trying to have a go at De Bauer, but he's not close enough, and he can't go for an overtake down here anyway because there's yellow flags out to clear Simon Mutka's stationary car lane as they make their way through into the hairpin. As the marshals have now got to the car and are clearing it away, but I think that's going to take a while to clear up because the barriers are quite far away down at that part. So hopefully nobody does any overtakes down to that yellow flag area. Otherwise, they'll get a 5-second time penalty for it. They make their way onto the straight now. Then look at Zolga is now onto the back of Lucian now. Then Zolga got the move done. On the inside he goes into the first corner. The answer to that is no. Lucian able to break that a little bit later and hold on to that position.
That was a surprise, honestly.
Indeed,
it was so. He looked like he didn't even want to go for the move. He braked so early.
Indeed, as they now make their way down towards the corners, it looks like Lucian's having a lock-up going through into the right-hander there. And Yuri just pointing out to us as we get some
Gonzalez and then Kirby take the fastest lap, one after the other.
Yuri just pointed out to us and shows that I'm learning something new about Grand Prix 4 every day, even though I'm a bit advanced. But it seems that obviously Grand Prix 4 is so advanced that the drivers even go a little bit slower on the wet part than they do on the dry part, hence why we just saw that Zolga was struggling to pass Lucian there. So that's obviously something to keep an eye on, and it looks like the drivers have to be a little bit more braver to try and get overtakes done. But the yellow flags have now been lifted at that hairpin, so they are now free to overtake at that part again.
Fun scene we had just a few seconds ago. One marshal waving yellow flags and the other waving greens. But the yellows are gone. Thompson says the fastest lap. Meanwhile, De Bauer has lost 4/10 to Kloss. Kloss has increased his advantage to 2.1 seconds. I got a little bit of a fight here as now Peter, speaking of fights, he's going to go down the inside and then he's going to back out once again. Doesn't have the grip on the wet part of the track.
Indeed so, as his teammate Gomez now breaks into the 1-minute 44s now. 1-minute 44.614 for Gabriel Gomez, and now Zorbat takes that away from him by another 2 tenths. We're just going to continue seeing these lap times drop even more and more as the conditions continue to improve, as Peter still tries to put De Bauer under a bit of pressure at this stage of the race as Kloss continues to pull away from them.
Yeah, indeed, but it looks like Kloss might have caught up to some traffic. No, not yet, but he will catch up to it soon enough. There is a car in front of him. I'm not sure who it is, but he's gaining onto that car. As we see the dry line all the more prominent. They're out on track.
As I'm trying to work out something here at the moment, because, well...
Never mind that, hold on. Here goes Cassidy down the inside of Gabriel. And has he gone past him? Yes, he has.
Just noticing, in fact, as that part of the track got wetter again, as you can see, because there was a dry line there, but I think it's maybe starting to get a little bit wetter. Well, perhaps indeed. I think it is starting to get wetter again. I'm just seeing.
Jesus.
Again, so, as I said earlier, it looks like we're getting to that phase again. As
Lucas overtaking Lucian. Meanwhile,
here comes the back
this. Peter has another chance.
He got the move done this time by, so now back onto the wetter part, so it now makes the thing equal between the pair of them. Is Peter going to split the Penske's? He is indeed. Peter finally gets the move done, and he's up into second place. Oh, so he's lost the front wing
there.
I think that might be, is that, no, it's not him, it's Kirby. It's Kirby who's lost his front wing, and is that because of a collision? I'm not sure. Let's have a look.
Looks like it was.
Looks like it might have been from La Rosa, who had just been overtaken there by Gonzalez, and it's the typical turn 2, and a little bit of a misjudgment there from Kirby as a result, and he's going to have to make a trip to the pits for a new front wing, and I wonder, because of the track getting wetter, will he change his compound?
I think it would be most prudent to do so, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Meanwhile, here we have Kim Sung-min, who is not far behind Sam Thompson, but of course lap down. And meanwhile, the Tomorrow Shanks are doing quite good, 11th and 12th at the moment. But here we have Bartosz Kloss. You can see the dry line, but we got confirmation track is running up as Kloss goes a little bit deep into turn 5 and now into 6. It's such a bizarre situation. You don't know what the correct tire is. Clearly, Sector 2 is almost entirely dry, but Sector 1 is quite wet.
Indeed so, and I'm just going to point out that was a very crucial move for Peter, because with Gomez not having the fastest lap at the moment, it would have meant that if it were to have stayed like that with De Barros in front of Peter, then Penske would have had a chance to win the team's championship right there, because they would have got 18 more points over Andretti as a result. But Peter crucially getting that move done to try and save Andretti's team's title chances there, as the two Meyer Shanks are into combat. Oh, that was close to contact there, as Gonzalez gets the move done on Gabriel into the first corner.
Tell you what, Joe, there's someone we haven't... Oh, never mind, that Pure is getting past. What I was going to say is, we've been forgetting about somebody making a massive charge. Sam Thompson, he's only 6 seconds down. Ombrón de Barros, he's finally pushing up and catching to the leaders.
Indeed so, and let's see now. What tyres do Kirby got? And it is Inters, I was correct. So he is, obviously, as the track is getting wetter, he is making that compound change whilst he's changing his front wing. So maybe this could may be a blessing in disguise for JP Kirby, we'll see. But I've just seen somebody else's pit mechanics come out there that are in front. I wonder if somebody's got a mechanical failure or not. I did see, Holloway's got a problem. No, Toby Holloway in the Peugeot has got a problem, and it looks like...
Looks like it's an electrical failure.
Indeed, but can he make it back to the pits? Let's see. He has got the pit indicator next to his name, and if that's the case, well, there could be a good chance for him to also switch onto the intermediate tyres as the track continues to wetten up. He is close to the pit lane, but can he just make it? He's just got a few feet to make it. Can he make it to the pits? Has he done it? And yes, he has. Thankfully, Holloway has made it.
The two questions are, how much time has he really lost thanks to the problem? If that time can be recovered, and is he going to be fueled to the end? Because that is quite a big thing to consider, of course.
As there's more mechanics coming out as well. I've just realised.
Looks like we're going to have the impromptu pit stop for everybody.
And they are Inters, so I think we are at the impromptu stages. We've just seen a couple of more mechanics who have just
21.9, is that how we fuel to the end?
29.1. Yes, it is, because there's only 18 laps left. So Holloway is going to the end, and I mean they are a few laps away from that window anyway. But a few cars are pitting, as you can see.
Volker, Gonzalez, and Papiro one after the other. They're not in that order. Papiro first. It is the mandatory pit stop, and the Penskes might have to stack.
Technically, it's impromptu because we're not at the lap 25 mark, but we were only a few laps away from it anyway. So they can really get away with this, and they can. Kloss is also paying, as is Peter.
Peter's caught up to Peter.
This might be a battle in the pits between Penske and Andretti. I think Penske will have the advantage because of the garage order, but De Barros is going to have to stay out as a result because Kloss is being serviced first, given he's the race leader.
Yeah, this is unlucky for De Barros because clearly the Inter is better now. Everyone is switching to the Inter except for De Barros. De Barros could be jumped by Sam Thompson as a result of this, to be frank with you. But let's see. Maybe Peter and Kloss impede each other or something. I'm not sure. Let's see.
Kloss has been impeded. Same
but Peter's not going to the end.
Neither 13 laps. He's not going to the end. What is going on there with Kloss? Is Peter doing the same? I'm not sure.
Yes.
He's also doing the same. So we'll
De Barros
does when
salvage his race if he fuels it to the end. Very interesting.
We'll have to see, of course. But Peter and Kloss opting not to go for the end. Is Thompson
what
doing
about
the
Thompson?
Same? No, he's going to the
favorite
end.
to win this race. Oh my god.
We'll have to see, because fresher tyres could really help. But we are in the impromptu pit stop stages. Zollback opting not to go to the end. He's going for the same route as Kloss and Peter, so he's not going to the end. He's going to pit one more time before the end. Maybe hoping if the track dries up towards the end, though. That could be something to keep an eye on. Zolga, if they timed this right, BMW, because Zollback's only just finished service. Let's see, are the BMW mechanics ready in time for Zolga? And, well, they're there. But have they got there just in the nick of time? And the
Yes.
answer to that in yes, but hopefully he doesn't get stuck because we have seen a similar thing in the past with this. As it looks like he might have just got away with it. Let's
Is
see.
that Peter
As
coming in again?
Zog has finished his pit stop. As he finishes his pit stop, I don't think Peter is coming in. I think that might be for Gomez, if anything. No, Peter's not coming in again. And so, in fact, Gomez is already on the intermediate tyres. He seemed to have pitted unseen by the cameras. So, but Zolga had, luckily, BMW timed that one perfectly.
Yeah, indeed. Lucian and Fitz are also pitting, as is Cassidy. He was battling with his teammate Bapiro, but I don't think that'll be the case anymore. As look at Bruno de Barros, how slow he is at the moment. He has to pit now, but if he fuels to the end, it'll mean he has 0 stops left after this stop, and his teammate and his rival Peter, Klaus and Peter, will have 1 stop left. So can the Barros fuel to the end? We'll have to wait and see. As now Bapiro is going for the move on Volker. Down the inside, he's gone, and there's a car heading out of the pits. Meanwhile, it's his own teammate in the Meyershank, and he is just behind him. Cassidy has gotten the jump, as now the Barros...
Hasn't gone to the end. He hasn't gone to the end, so he's going on the same strat as Klossen and Peter, maybe playing it a bit safe, who knows. But I would have personally have gone to the end, to be honest, if I was the Barros. But
yeah, he's lost so much time in that 1 lap. He could even get jumped by Sam. No, he's not going to get jumped by Thompson, is he? But
oh, it might be a bit tight. I'm not sure because the pit limiter is only just there as they make their way into the first corner. But luckily, DeBarros is just ahead of Thompson. But Thompson,
I think the Barros will be filming that he was forced to stay out.
But it does mean that Thompson has got closer to DeBarros as a direct result of that.
Yeah, indeed. And now the leaders, are they going to have to deal with this traffic? How far behind are they? They are a little bit far down, but they are catching up to 1 car here, so that'll be interesting. As Volker, confirmation there that Bapiro is in front of him. But yeah, looked like a 2-way fight for the win between Klaus and Peter now. It looks like it's that way. Looks like the Barros was taking out a fight for the win, but traffic could bring him right back into it if there is enough of it. But of course, the biggest elephant in the room we have to address, all these guys, the top 3, they're not fueled to the end of the race. Sam Thompson in 4th is fueled to the end of the race, and is going to be ahead of them once they pit again.
It depends really on how much of a gap they build, because at the moment, as you can see, it's 13 seconds between Kloss and Thompson, because these are the combined ones. So definitely something to keep an eye on by the time these guys make their last stop.
Yeah, absolutely right. They will have a pace advantage towards the end. But Sam Thompson may have just found himself Ferrari with a masterful strategy. They could get a driver up on their podium.
Maybe even for a win. Who knows? Ferrari haven't won a race this season so far. We've only had...
Because Volker
trying to have a go at Bapiro. Has he got the move done? The answer to that is no. Bapiro defending the position perfectly and keeping ahead of Volker at this stage.
Yep, that's right. And it'll be only a matter of time before the leaders catch up to these guys.
That could be something to keep an eye on as well, because there is a big gaggle of traffic that these guys are going to have to deal with as well, which could put DeBarros into play, and maybe even Thompson, given he's going to the end of the race. So maybe something to really keep an eye on. Volker again was trying to have a go at Pepero, but again didn't work out, and has now got La Rosa on the back of him as a result. And Kirby, thanks to that impromptu pit stop he had to make, has now caught back up to them, because obviously he was one of the earlier guys to pit, thanks to him losing his front wing earlier.
Yeah, so a little bit of a blessing in disguise, but so yeah, that damage, I guess that disadvantage has been mitigated now.
Indeed so, as Kloss makes his way through into the bus stop chicane there, as we look at Gabriel now then, who's just trying to gain onto those guys in front. And as he's trying to get onto the back, of course, as mentioned, the guys who are leading the race will have to come up to these guys very soon, and that will be something for them to really get their head around, really. It might give them a bit of a headache when it comes to lapping them.
Bruno de Barros, I think, will be thankful once again to back markers, because yeah, that pit strategy from Penske got him out of the fight, as now Peter is being impeded. Zolga has just been overtaken by Lucian, meanwhile unseen by the cameras. But yeah, traffic could bring Bruno de Barros back into this.
Peter is now going to finally lap Soper around the outside, and then it will be that big gaggle of cars that Peter and Kloss will be approaching that will be next.
Yep, indeed, and the gap is not that big, roughly about 3 or 4 seconds. So Klaus and Peter are gonna be in for a lot of traffic, as now Bapiro is under attack from Volker once again into turn 1. Bapiro holds on.
Yep, clearly Papero, again, we talked about this earlier, clearly must have the straight line speed sussed out in that car. Even as the conditions have now gotten worse, he still seems to have some good pace on the straight line compared to Volker's. Meanwhile, speaking of Volker, he's now under attack from the manner of Francesco La Rosa, who's trying to pounce after the result of Volker not quite being able to get the move done, although
Walker
Volker
is shutting the door.
Yep, and nearly close to contact there, but luckily nothing done. As it looks like once again the sky is starting to get a little bit brighter. I wonder if we're going to see another changeable condition in this race. We'll see as Gomez puts a lap on Min there as he tries to.
There doesn't appear to be a
make...
dry line anymore, so I think it's gonna stay wet for the time being.
Indeed, but it is worth noting about the clouds at the moment because that can sometimes be a bit of an indicator on this game. 2.4 seconds, meanwhile, the gap between Kloss and Peter at this stage.
Thompson 14.8, the bar's 9.7. The bar's is gaining onto Kloss. Thompson is losing time, but given he is fuel heavier than these guys, we should be expecting him to lose time.
2.3 now, so Peter took a tenth out of Kloss in that first sector there, as they're not that far away from
the adjusting a little deep.
You can just see in the distance there, they're not that far away. I think that's just basically a typical line in the wet conditions through into there, so nothing really too alarming. But it was 2.3 on that occasion. Let's see what the second sector is like compared to Peter and Kloss this time by.
Yeah, indeed. Should be interesting to see. But are we going to see it or not? We're going to see the gap to the Barros instead. No, we're not, because it's over 5 seconds. No, actually...
2.1, we just saw it briefly there, 2.1, so Peter is continuing to gain. He took 2 tenths out of Kloss that time by.
Thompson's lost another 4 tenths, so he's not on pace with these guys at the moment. But the traffic could really help Sam Thompson close up to these guys.
Indeed, but he is still 14 behind by 14 seconds as Gabriel gets the move done on La Rosa into the first corner there. Can Kirby try and capitalise behind? We will see as La Rosa gets a little bit loose. Is Kirby going to go through? And he does indeed. So Kirby up into 16th, and you can just see in the background, they are the leaders.
Yeah, they're coming, and this is only good news for Bruno de Barros, because the 2 cars in front of him are going to deal with 1,000 lapped cars. Not literally 1,000, but you know what I'm saying. Whereas the Barros will only have to deal with them later, so this is a great chance for him to catch up. And he is closing in on Igor Peter, look. Gap is under 7 seconds.
Kloss was able to respond a little bit to Peter that time by the gap 2.3 seconds, so he's able to pull another 2 tenths on that previous sector.
The Barros is coming up to lap Friedrich Zoppa, meanwhile.
He is indeed, and obviously after that it will then be the cars in front of him once Kloss and Peter get around to those lots, depending on how quickly they can dispose of that long list of traffic. But anyways, they now make their way through out of the first sector now then. As
looks like Kloss has caught up to them.
Indeed, and there's Peter not too far back behind as well. He could capitalise if Kloss takes too long to get by them.
Yeah, indeed, it's a massive, massive skill. Traffic management. Of course, there are no blue flags. You need to get the move done yourself. But the AI drivers will not make it too difficult. Having said that, though, you still need to be up on your toes. You still need to be focused and not lose too much time here, as Kloss is losing a lot of time. Peter is coming right back in contention.
Yeah, indeed, as my Discord there decided to have a bit of a
look at
moment
that.
on me
2 second gap is vanishing, but Kloss has made it past the first lapped car. Up next, 999 more cars.
Yep, as it's down to 1.4 thanks to Kloss having to deal with La Rosa in front, but let's see how quickly Peter can dispose of as De Barros finally puts a lap on Frederick Soper there as he tries to charge onto the top 2 after losing time by having to stay out to avoid double stacking his teammate.
Yeah, indeed. He got past him in a straight line, so maybe he hasn't lost that much time. 8.3 behind Kloss. He is gaining. Meanwhile, Kloss is catching up to 2 cars who are battling each other. This is not good at all for him.
Now Gabriel and Kirby, of course, and they're battling for what is 15th position heading in towards the bus-up chicane as Kirby tries to have a go on the inside of Gabriel into that chicane, but Gabriel saying no to that, and Kloss is going to get held up by it as a result as they make their way through.
Well, so this is going to help the Barros and Thompson massively. Thompson not outright because Thompson is a little bit further down, but Thompson on strategy will be massively helped by this.
Yep, as De Barros will look to try and take advantage of what's going on in front at the moment. And let's see what Peter is doing when the next graphic comes up on the screen. And in fact, Peter is right behind him. Look, the hold up is definitely helping him because he's now right on the back of Klaus as Kirby and Gabriel have still not got out of the way.
Yeah, indeed, they're really parking the bus right now. And Igor Peter has a sniff at Bartosz Klaus for the first time. Let's see if he can get him. No, not quite, because Klaus has made the move on Kirby. Will Kirby make way for his compatriot? He will. But Klaus has the position still.
They're now coming up behind Gabriel again. Gabriel not getting out of the way just yet. Could Peter potentially take advantage of this as they make their way through into the last few turns now? Then Peter right onto the gearbox of Klaus, who's going to go around the outside of Gabriel. Peter opting not to do that, surprisingly. Maybe going to try and get him onto the straight. Yellow flag, and that's Min. Min is out of the race, and that's another mechanical failure.
And his home race is a disaster for the manor driver. What a shame, he is out. Puncture.
And it's a puncture, which has clearly causes some kind of suspension failure as well. So
take a look at the gaps meanwhile. DeBarros 4.7, Thompson 8 seconds down on the leaders.
You just saw DeBarros there in the background whilst we were looking at Klaus there. Peter not close enough because he obviously had to deal with Gabriel as Gabriel and Kirby's battle resumes just behind. Now, thought for a minute there Peter was having a bit of an aquaplane moment, but that was clearly the camera being a bit deceiving there as he tries to close back in onto Klaus.
Yeah, indeed, and DeBarros, they're on the same straight together. Look, DeBarros is finally catching back up. But of course, now he has to deal with the same pain as the two in front of him.
As you can see, more rain on the screen. As you can see, there's a bit of rain down at where the bus stop chicane is, so maybe it could get a little bit heavier. I mean, it did see towards the end of the race there was a chance that the conditions could get heavier, but whether it will be at the point, whether we'll get to the point where it's going to be changeable, I am not 100% sure because it was quite towards the back end, perhaps, of the race, maybe even after the race. I'm not too sure. As now Klaus and Peter are now coming up to try and lap both Volker and Papero in front, who have been battling for quite a while. As DeBarros is now putting a lap on. This is who is that? He's lapping. That is well, not really
Gabriel?
sure. Not really sure who it was, to be honest. But anyway, as Klaus trying to go around the outside of Volker, who says no to that until around about now. But could Peter take full advantage of this? As Klaus finally gets by on Volker, Peter also getting by as well, not able to take full advantage as they now come up to the back of Papero. As Peter having to go the long way around to get by on Volker on that occasion, and as a result, loses a bit of time in the process.
Yeah, but he's going to make up for it now because Papero is impeding Bartosz Klaus. He's going to go for the pass here, but Peter is getting closer.
Yep, and I think now Klaus has got clearer in front, so he's been able to keep the lead as a result.
There's
now Papero, he's now having to deal with this lot in front as well. Let's look at that. There is a dry line emerging yet again at turn 1.
Yeah, this is a surprise. Are we going to get another stop for dry tires? And this could be bad for Sam Thompson, of course, because he's going to the end of this race on these inters.
Let's not forget there are the leaders that have to pit again, so that could work to their benefit if the conditions continue to dry out, even though it is still rainy on the screen. That's Peter getting by on a back marker there into the hairpin, as Gabriel's still in front of Kirby at the moment, as there's another dry line emerging just at the exit of turn 3 there.
Yeah, indeed. And this end to this race is going to be absolutely exciting. I can't wait to see what happens. As Peter has lost time battling the traffic, but he's hungry. He wants this race win, and he's going to give it everything he's got to try to get past Bartosz Klaus in front.
Meanwhile, DeBarros has just lapped Volker there, as he's trying to get through on the traffic himself.
Next target for him is to lap Papero.
Yep, and Volker will look to try and take
and
any
how
advantage.
Is Thompson handling the traffic, I wonder?
I do not know, but anyway, as DeBarros has not yet lapped Papero in front just yet, and they're having to stay single file through into this double left-hander. But Klaus is now starting to pull away a bit from Peter, it seems.
Yeah, just a little bit, as now DeBarros is losing a lot of time that he gained before. But he's got the move done. Thompson is 10 seconds down on DeBarros.
Indeed so, as DeBarros now then through into the right and left-hander now then they go. As we look at Klaus now then, as you can see, there is still some rain about, but we've been seeing some dry lines emerging down at turn 1 again, and even here again. So it's going to be interesting.
How long these guys are pitting, the front two?
Well, I wonder, of course, as we're on lap 31 of 40, so 10 laps to go in this race. There's no sign of any pit mechanics coming out just yet, but it has come down to 1.6 now between Peter and Klaus. So Peter able to respond on that occasion and take 2 temps out of Klaus.
Yeah, indeed. How much fuel have they got in their wagon, the two of them?
I'm not really sure as I'm looking on that graphic on the left-hand side. I think he said about 3.7 there, 7.74 for De Barros, of course. Of course, he's expected to pit soon. They usually have a few laps in the tank before they come into the pits as well. They don't really go to the brim around this track. So I think we could be seeing them quite soon, in fact. Maybe in around 1 or 2 laps' time, if I'm being brutally honest, Rob.
Yeah, it could be the case, and the tire choice will be crucial because look, in the middle sector here, sorry, still in the first sector. I need to remember the sector split is a little later, but in the second part of the first sector, in the twisty bit, you can definitely see a dry line.
Indeed, and it is getting more and more drier at this part, even after Sector 1. 1.4 now they are between Kloss and Peter. Peter taking another 2 attempts out of Kloss on that occasion, so Peter starting to respond now at this stage.
And if it were to, let's say the top 3 all pit right now on this lap, ignore the double stack and anything like that, it would leave us Sam Thompson leading the race on intermediate tires, and the front 3 chasing after him on a drying track with dry tires.
Peter's just got a call to come into the pits. Are we at an impromptu stage of the race, perhaps? Because he's just got a call on his pit indicator.
No, I think it's a fuel stop.
Don't remember seeing the pit icon next to him when we last checked him. I could be wrong, though. But he is pitting at the end of this lap. So I wonder if he's going to go onto the dry tyres, Rob. As
Gonzalez is in as well.
Of course, he had to pit again. Are these lot going on to dries? Let's see.
No, I think it's just a fuel stop, but the tire choice will be crucial now for the win of this race. Can Peter get the win? And can he get the jump, of course?
Through will go to Barros, and I'm pretty sure through will go Thompson as well. Just keep an eye on the position on the bottom left for that account. As Peter now into the pit. Is this going to be dry tired? And no, it's full wet. Okay, this is interesting. They're full wet tyres for Igor Peter. What did Gonzalez go on in front? Did he go onto the same tyre? Yes, he did.
Race does not stop getting any more bizarre.
Indeed so. So when I thought they were going to go onto dry tyres, they've actually gone onto full wets. Maybe because of the fact that some parts of the track, it is starting to rain again.
This is either a brilliant or a disastrous strategy call for Igor Peter.
Back is now into
He's either going to get a jump on Kloss and take the lead, ignoring Thompson, or he's going to get jumped by the Barros. It's only one of the two.
Back also going onto the full wet tyres, as you can see. And so it seems that everybody who's pitting now is going onto the full wets. And I wonder if the guys who were originally scheduled to go to the end, like with Thompson, may start to contemplate it. I'm not sure. Kloss has not got the call to come in. I wonder if he's going to get it in a minute, though. Because I was convinced that Peter didn't get a call when the previous lap started. He's only coming up towards the second sector right now. That's usually when you get an impromptu call come up on your screen. As he's now coming up towards the end of Sector 2 now then. And no call for Kloss at the moment. Interesting stuff. Of course, he has got to pit.
That's not closing in a little bit.
Let's not forget, Kloss and DeBauer still need to pit, of course, because they didn't fuel to the end of the race. So even if they don't pit now, they are going to have to pit eventually. As Kloss now goes to lap one of the Champ racing cars. Just there. As Volker's still stuck behind Pepera at this stage. And there's Gonzalez on the full wets. And you can see how quickly Peter is on these tyres because he's already caught up right onto the back of his teammates. So I do think maybe the full wets are the way to go, Rob.
Could be the case, but he can't afford to get any more impeded than this.
Indeed so. As his teammate, I don't think is pitting at the moment. I've not seen.
But here's a little bit of a problem for Peter. He's got 14 seconds to catch Sam Thompson. Sam Thompson is not going to pit again. He's going to the end. We thought it was going to be Thompson on the inters being chased by guys on the dries. No, it's going to be Thompson on the inters getting chased by guys on the full wet.
And we just saw there that Gomez has just got a pit call to come into the pits. As Zorbach, who's also on the full wet, is now harrying Holloway, who's still on the intermediate tyres.
Who has the fastest lap?
I think it's, is it still Zorbach? I'm not sure. But anyway.
I think it is Zorbach.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, in these conditions, it's not going to change with the weather worsening.
Anyway, he's just overtaken Holloway, you just saw there. So Zorbach now up into 6th position. 3.2 between the two Penske drivers. Kloss is coming in this lap. So but De Barros will have to stay out an extra lap. But Kloss is coming into the pits. Now, given how quickly Peter is going, this could be Peter's best chance to jump Kloss here.
Yeah, it's now or never. I think he's been told he needs to push as hard as he can on this lap. And we'll have to keep an eye on the pace difference between himself and Sam Thompson. Because we've got 7.5 laps left, and Thompson will be the race leader once everybody comes into the pits.
Lucian's just come in for Persia, meanwhile, and they'll be for the full wets. But anyway, Kloss now then coming around the long swooping right-hander. Now then he goes, and he will peel into the pits. The Barros will stay out for an extra lap, of course, because the Penske, of course, don't want to double stack their drivers. So Kloss in, but where is Peter on the racetrack? That's going to be the question. Thompson should also get by on Kloss as well. We should expect to, as the Penske mechanics are there ready for a pit stop. And let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for Marcus Kloss.
10 seconds down on Thompson.
Full wets for Kloss, 6.4 seconds is the stop now then. Thompson should get through, but the question is, where's Peter? Thompson has gone through. Where is Peter on the racetrack now then? As Kloss is now coming down pit lane, and I'm not sure where Peter is at the moment. We're not seeing it, but Kloss is now right on pit exit. Where is Peter on the racetrack? Kloss has just come out on track, and I think Peter's jumped him. He has.
Peter's got him.
Peter has got the jump on Kloss, and, well, as long as he can catch up to Thompson, who's going to the end, he could win this race, and he is obviously gaining on Thompson, who is actually having to deal with this traffic himself. Gomez, meanwhile, into the pits with a few cars in front of Thompson, also pitting, and also behind him as well. Gomez finishes his pit stop.
Don't forget one thing, though. While Thompson and Kloss and Peter are having to deal with the traffic, one guy who should be in clean air is Ron Barros, who is pushing this lap. And of course, he was quite close to his teammate Bartosz Kloss. He was only 3 seconds down, so this will be interesting. But Sam Thompson will be leading this race with 3 very hungry drivers chasing after him. And all that, Thompson has one ally. He has the traffic that will help him. Because I noticed, gap was 14 seconds between Peter and Thompson, and went to 10 seconds. So these guys are 4 seconds a lap quicker than Sam Thompson. Thompson has to hope the traffic can keep these guys behind them behind long enough for him to hold on and eke out the win.
Indeed, so as we now look at
Sam Thompson right now, Joe, what would you do? Would you stay out and try to brave it on for a miracle and take the win, or would you come in and just go for safety and take that P4 you held? If I was Sam Thompson right now,
I'd try and brave it and go for the end and see if you can try and hold them off. De Barros, meanwhile, is in, presumably for the wet tyres. Peter and Kloss should also get by as well, as Thompson's still having to deal with this lot of traffic, who are all, most of them coming into the pits. Peter and Kloss going by, but Kloss right behind Peter, who had trouble dealing with that traffic. Kloss now back in the slipstream of Peter.
He's going to go for it.
He's going to the inside. Peter already thinking about defensive, but it's already too late. Kloss is there on the inside. Has he got the move done? And he has. Kloss has retaken the place from Peter after he lost it in the pits.
He's back in the second, and Peter goes wide. There we see Thompson look. But he's still got a few lapped cars in between.
Indeed, one of them being his teammate Gonzalez, who's on full wet tyres. So maybe Gonzalez could do his teammate a massive favour here.
Yeah, indeed. He'll be playing the ultimate team game here by holding up the other guys on full wets.
Just made an incredible move there on Kirby around the outside to take hold of P12 there. And, well...
Don't forget the Barros. He could close in as well with this traffic.
Indeed so, as more cars have just finished their pit stop on the full wets there. As here is Thompson doing everything he can to try and get his. As whoa, that's a Meyershank who's just gone off the track there and straight into the wall. That's TJ. Damage for Peter. Peter has got damage. He's caught the wheel there, and De Barros has survived that. And that might be a bit of an issue in the team's championship if that is the case, because it all really depends really on where Peter rejoins. Not the right time for Andretti to have a damage.
What a shame for Igor Peter. What a shame. And the debris from Bapiro absolutely ruined Peter's race there. It means Sam Thompson will be on the podium no matter what. But my goodness.
It was a driver error there from TJ Papero that caused that. He got a little bit too eager trying to fend off from Kirby and went straight on.
And Peter was fighting for that win with Kloss. What a shame. And now Brenda Barros is going to take third.
But I just wonder, in terms of the team's championship, what that could mean. And, well, with the Barros...
They're going to take 33 points if they hold on to second and third. So...
I'm just trying to work out where Peter will rejoin after all of this, because... Oh, of course, let's not forget, Penske need to outscore Andretti by 18 points to win the team's title today. And, well, depending on where Peter rejoins, that could be the case today. But we'll have to wait and see. As Peter holding up de Bauers as much as he can, but not for long. De Bauers does get through now, and he's on into the podium places as the two Penskes will now charge and go after the Ferraris. Now that they know that one Andretti has been in the wars, they could have a chance to win the team's title here today.
Could be the case, but I think Gomez has a gap right behind. I'm not quite sure. 5 laps to go, and the end of this race is getting crazier and crazier. Can Sam Thompson pull off a miracle? We'll have to wait and see.
Peter now into the pit. Gomez is currently in fourth, but he's got Zorbach not far behind him as well. So it'll be interesting to see where Peter is going to emerge with a new front wing and a fresh set of full wet tyres and a little bit of fuel to ensure he does get to the end of the race regardless. 6.7 seconds. That's a quick stop from them despite the front wing change. Where is Gomez and Zorbach? That's what I want to know as they were behind. There's Gomez. He's going to go through as well. Zorbach was not far behind either. So Gomez goes by on Peter. Is Zorbach going to do the same thing? Yes, he does. So he's down into 6th position, trying to work out the maths. That would make it 20
They'll be
points.
safe.
It'll just be about safe at the moment for the championship.
If Thompson wins.
That's a key if at the moment, as de Bauers is having trouble trying to lap his compatriot there. As what's Gonzalez doing here? Is he trying to unlap himself on his own teammate here? Well, he needs to be careful because they are teammates, but he's got to be wary about.
Kloss has already got past.
Leading. Kloss is leading. Where's that happened? Kloss is leading the race. When did that happen? And where on earth did that happen? Did Thompson make a mistake somewhere on the racetrack? No, he had already caught him up rapidly.
Jesus. And oh my goodness, Igor Peter will feel so angry at this.
So it's now, well, he's leading the race now, is Kloss, so that will be 40 points. So that would be the championship. For the team's championship, it would stay like that. 40 points compared to 20. That would be the team's championship for Penske if it stays like this.
Yeah, indeed. And, but if Peter overtakes Zorbach, will it still be the case? I think it still will be the case, yeah. As long as Thompson holds on to the podium places.
It would still be the same case if Peter gets by on Zorbach, because that would be then 22 points for Andretti with Gomez in 4th position. So, yeah, it's not looking good for them at the moment. They've got to hope something happens to Thompson in front to try and save their team's title chances, because at the moment, Penske are winning it.
Yeah, it seems, and looks like Gonzalez doesn't want to lap his teammate, to unlap himself from his teammate, sorry.
Indeed so, as he's got to be aware. I wonder where de Bauers is. He's right there. He's not
right
far
here.
away. So we could be looking at a Penske 1-2 here.
Thompson has lost 5 seconds already.
Even more damning for Andretti if they want to save their team title chances, as Gonzalez now unlaps himself at the expense of his teammate. I do wonder if Thompson may try and get back ahead of him, though, down this straight. Maybe use his slipstream a little bit, which he does. So I don't know if there's a bit of time wasting or a bit of communication issue with the Ferrari drivers. I'm not sure. But Thompson gets back ahead as a result. But where is de Bauers? Well, even a bit. Here he is.
Rapidly.
Bauers is not far away from trying to make it a 1-2 for Penske at this stage. But for anybody who's just tuning in right now, if it were to stay like this, with Kloss in first, de Bauers in third, Gomez in fourth, and Peter in 6th position, then the team's championship will be going to Penske today.
Yep, that's right. Igor Peter, what a shame. He was robbed of a podium, maybe of a chance to win, because he had gotten the jump on Kloss, and he could have still fought to battle with him. Peter has just got up to 5th.
He's got 5th, but that's still not going to be enough for the team's championship because, of course, as mentioned, Penske needed to outscore Andretti by 18 points today because Andretti cannot surpass them in terms of victories. And well, at the moment they're going to.
Gonzalez goes from Thompson, and where's de Bauers? He's right here.
As I was going to say, they're going to exactly outscore them by exactly 18 points at the moment, and it could be even more here because de Bauers could take 2nd place off of Thompson here. Thompson gave it a good go on the intermediate conditions, but it just wasn't going to be enough. He could still get a podium out of this, though, but he tried his best for the victory, but the gamble just did not work out for him, and it looks like de Bauers, it's only going to be a matter of time until he gets by him, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely right. There's no defending. He's on a much, much worse tire. Sam Thompson can do nothing but pray, really.
Indeed so, as they now make their way through.
These guys are 5 seconds a lap faster than him in these conditions, so what else can you say?
Indeed, as De Bouwers, I think he might go for the outside move into the second to last corner, as it's 3 laps to go for race leader Bartosz Kloss to make it 3 wins in a row, as he looks to try and get onto Bouwers and champion. And there you go, De Bouwers takes second place with ease there, and it's now a Penske 1-2 as a result. And just looking about where where Gomez is on the track, he's there. Thompson is only just about to cross the line now, so it could be a bit tight for him to hold on to that podium, but we'll see.
Of course, they need to pass him as well. 19 seconds. It was 25 seconds not too long ago, so they gained 6 seconds in a single lap. 19 seconds left, 3 laps. They can catch him, but passing will be another matter because there's traffic in between.
Indeed, and if Gomez does pass Thompson, it will save their team's championship chances, but only just. It will mean that Penske will have an even better chance of winning it at Fuji in 2 weeks' time. But we will see.
Wait, are you sure they'll still have a chance if he passes?
Yes, because as mentioned, they will score 20. Am I correct? I'm not. No, I don't think I am now, am I? So I don't know. So
no,
I'll work it out.
They need P3 and P4.
Yeah, so Peter also needs to start gaining as well. But at the moment, it is going Penske's way at this stage. The gap is around 4.4 seconds, so it's going to be a bit tight, I think, in these remaining 3 laps, Rob, to see if the team's championship's going to get wrapped up or not.
It's not. I don't think it's going to happen. Passing Thompson is just too far out in front.
Well, he is going quite slowly on those inter tyres. We saw how quickly Koss was able to gain onto him. So I would say never just yet, Rob, and there is still 3 laps.
Yeah, indeed. Gomez is... how far down is he, actually? We can't see the gaps at the moment because we're looking at the lapped cars at the bottom. But Gomez is in traffic as well. Is that Thompson up further in front or not? No, it can't. No way it can be him.
That's another
That's Volker.
But this could actually help Thompson in a way, these back markers that they're having to come around, because they are definitely gaining, but this bit of traffic could actually
16 seconds, but yeah, it's saving him.
Said this traffic could save Thompson's bacon from getting that podium today.
Still, Gomez is still gained 3 seconds even with the traffic.
Because Peter on the inside of Gomez, because he had trouble trying to get by this traffic. Is Peter going to get by him around this part of the track? The answer to that is no, because Gomez has just put a lap there on. I think that is
around here.
That's Soper. He's just lapped there. As both Andretti's now having trouble trying to lap all of these guys. As Gomez now puts a lap on. I think that's is that Kirby in front. He was trying to lap. It was Kirby, and Peter now getting held up as a direct result of that. As Soper trying to take full advantage if he can. Thank you very much, he says, and that's P14 from Kirby.
Yeah, I think the rain is getting worse. I think Thompson is going even slower. The bars put a lot of time on him in the last lap. And Gomez is just 13 seconds down. And Thompson has lost 13 seconds to the Barros. Game on.
13, really, indeed. But I think this traffic might actually help Thompson here with about 1.5 laps to go. But we'll see. He's only just coming down support pit straight. So it's going to be tight because Peter's not far, but he's pretty much where Gomez is at the moment.
Thompson was 7 seconds slower than Gomez. And that's ignoring the fact that Gomez was massively impeded.
Peter having to go at Gomez. Meanwhile, there's the chicane. Oh, contact there between Gomez and Peter there. Peter's not going to like that from Volker, that's for sure.
Absolutely not.
Like that. He's trying to lap him again through into the chicane. And be careful, Peter. This is quite an awkward place to lap people. Volker goes a little bit deep. Can he keep it out of the wall? Volker's gone around. He's kept it out of the wall and
he spun it.
But he's going to drop him down as a result. I think there was a little bit of eagerness there from Volker.
Gomez 9.5 seconds down on Thompson. He's definitely gaining fast.
As Volker now having to rejoin the track. That was a little bit of a silly error there from the 5-time top class champion, and he drops down to 17th as a result as Kloss has started the final lap of the race here as Gomez is not far away from Thompson. This is going to be tight. This is for Andretti to save their team's title chances as Peter and Gomez are not far behind, but as mentioned, Kloss has started the final lap of the race here at Yeongam, and he's looking like he's going to get his 3rd consecutive victory to keep his drivers' championship hopes alive in this race. But what about the team's championship? Because the Andretti's are trying to close in on Thompson. They're not far away from him, who is on those intermediate tyres. He's gambled to stay out for the remainder of the race. It didn't work out for the victory, but maybe for the podium as they now make their way around the second to last corner. Where is Gomez in relation to Thompson? He's just there, just coming around the second last corner. He's got plenty of time, I think, to get a hold of Thompson. Same goes for Igor Peter, but they need to dispose of them quickly. Otherwise, they could lose the team's championship today. They need to get third and fourth to keep their slim chances alive. As Kloss has just come out of the bus stop chicane there.
They'll be hanging on by a thread, that's for sure, but it's incredible how much they gained. What, 10 seconds in a single lap?
Yeah, indeed. As they're now right there on the same straight as Thompson. Thompson's going to be incredibly slow going around turn number 3 here as they now make their way through into the right-hander. They go now then. Gomez is going to have better traction compared to Thompson down here. Is he going to maybe go for a run down at the chicane? He's going to go to the outside and he looks like he's got the move done already. Gomez up to third. How long is it going to take Peter to get by on Thompson? Let's see. As they're coming around these section of corners, he really needs to not do any rushes. Kloss is not far away from finishing this race now. Then as Fitzwater gets ninth off of Zolga, and what is going on in that fight for fourth position? We'll have to look in a minute. Has Peter got the move done? Not yet, but he might go for it now. We'll have to go back to Kloss very quickly now then, because he's just about to cross the line as he now runs the second to last corner.
What a crazy finish this is.
He's had an absolutely brilliant race, and for the third race in a row, Bartsch Kloss is going to win here at Yeongam to keep his championship hopes alive compared to the Bars. But has Peter got Thompson to keep Andretti's team title hopes alive? As Fitzwater will cross the line in ninth position. Flick over to the next graphic, please. Come on, graphic. Has he got fourth place? Has he got fourth place? The answer to that is yes, he has. Peter's got fourth, so the team's championship has been saved for Andretti. Zolga takes 10th there as the Bars takes hold of second place right there and then. They have just saved their team's championship by a slim thread. Penske will have a good chance of winning it at Fuji, but for now at least, Andretti saved their chances there. Gomez will cross the line in third position in the end, wasn't able to convert pole into the win. As a result, Gomez around the second to last corner, through into the final turn. Gomez will cross the line in third position in the end for Andretti. His teammate Peter, after sustaining damage earlier on, will get hold of fourth place, but loses track to the Bauhaus in the championship. Zopa in 13th. Then it is Gabriel who will cross the line in 14th. Thompson in fifth position in the end. Just couldn't make the gamble work. Zorbach will cross the line in sixth position. La Rosa will cross the line in 15th position in the manner in the end. So P15 goes to the Italian. As we've got a bit of a battle here between Kirby and Volker. Volker just gets 16th right at the line there after his little clumsy error he made. Yeah. Volker will take 16th place. Kirby will cross the line in 17th place on those old normal wet tyres. Lucien is finally going to get some points for the first time in a while. He's in 7th place. Looks like double points going the way to Peugeot as a result. Lucien hasn't scored points since Long Beach, so 5 races ago. Lucien is going to get some points, and Holloway will also grab points as well. So a good day in the office for both the Peugeot drivers today, as Lucien just coming around the turns now then. Through the left he goes, and then into the second to last corner he will now go on the racetrack. Lucien round the right, and then into the last corner, and that will be P7 for Alex-Eric Lucien in the Peugeot there then. A great race for him, P7 for him, and his teammate Holloway, who's not that far behind him. There he is. He will take hold of P8 in the end there then, as he's on very old tyres, it's fair to say, going quite slowly, but he's actually stuck on the intermediates, it's fair to say, but he will get 8th place regardless, and that is the race done with there then. The fastest you can see there, 40 seconds down thanks to being on the wrong tyres. But Bartsch Kloss is your winner. Here is your final results then. Kloss wins the race. De Bauhaus in second. Gomez in third. Peter in fourth. Andretti just saved their team's title chances, but only just. Thompson in fifth. Zorbach in sixth with Lucien in seventh. Holloway in eighth with Fitzwater in ninth. Zolga completes the points in 10th with Gonzalez 11th, and you can do the rest, Rob.
Yeah, sure. Thomas Cassidy a lap down in 12th, Frick Zopa 13th, Yuri Gabriel 14th, Francesco Rosa 15th, Florian Volker 16th, Joper Kirby 17th, and the DNFs are TJ Bapiro, Kim Sung Min, Shimon Motka, Jordan Howe, and Bartosz Bracki. And my goodness, what a race that was. That is the fastest lap. I gotta say, what a shame for Igor Peter. He definitely deserved to be on that podium, and he almost got it in the end. And Thompson, I have to respect that he tried that gamble, but in the end it backfired horribly. He lost 4th as well. He could have won this race if the rain stayed as was, but the rain decided to get worse, and as a result, Thompson went from 1st, tumbling all the way down to 5th.
Yep, it didn't work out. Zorbach getting the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. Well, there you have it then. That has been it from the World Champ Car race here at Yeongam. I hope you enjoyed it, because me and Rob definitely had. I'm out of breath after those final few laps of the race. But that has been it then. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, there's no F2 this week, of course. They'll be back next week at Indianapolis. So I just thought I'd mention that in case anybody isn't aware of that. Of course, we do have top class action this week as well from the Mexican Grand Prix at Mexico City, so do look forward to that. The next World Champ Car race will be in 2 weeks' time at Fuji Speedway, the penultimate race of the season, where De Barros and Penske will have another chance to try and wrap up both championships. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, some point, probably more likely next Monday, we'll of course have Formula E over at Dubai, the penultimate race of the season, where Andreoli and Audi will have a shot at winning both championships there as well. But until then, guys, that has been it. Hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I'm EJ97. He's been Rob. I need a drink, and we'll see you next time.
What a crazy finish. See you later. Bye.